Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of the Drew Pavlis Show, episode 63 in 64 days. We're on the way to 100 in 100 days. I'll catch up with the one day that I missed. We've got John MacGowan joining us today. I'm about to send him the link. I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in. I'm just going to quickly put out the link on Discord as well. I apologize to everybody that I was slightly late. Asking about the Morrison-Lackey candidate for Fisher. I'll ask him lots of different questions. Let me just quickly I'll send him the link, and I'll also just quickly send out the link on Discord as well, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like. Very important. Very important you leave a like, everybody. It helps YouTube recommend us to more people. I'm just going to quickly send the link to John. Okay, got the Discord up. By the way, guys, how is the audio? Audio okay? I've improved the audio a bit today, which is a lot better. It's a lot better. I got a proper connector for the microphone and everything. How many people we've got watching live? So somebody said it's on mute. Is it actually? Surely not. You're trolling me, right? No. It tells me that it's going up. It tells me it's going up. We've got 17 people watching live on YouTube. Thank you, guys. Just going to quickly. Somebody said the live chat. The live chat is now on the screen. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, okay. Live chat's now on the screen. Just going to quickly send the link to John, and we'll start. I'm sorry that we were slightly late, guys. I had to attend to a family matter. But it is early for a Drew Pavlis stream. Lately, I've been going way too late at like 10 o'clock at night in Australia. Just quickly sending the link to John. Of course, now's the right time for Twitter to fuck up. Hang on. Sending the link to John. Okay. Hang on. I'm going to have to use my phone. Oh, it's working now. Okay. Send the link to join. Very important, very important. Just give us a second, guys. John's about to join. Okay, get the StreamYard link. Got it. Okay, sending it to John. Okay, I've sent in the join link as well. Okay, beautiful, guys. All right, we've got 22 people watching live on YouTube. Thank you if you're watching live on YouTube. If you're watching live on YouTube, leave a like so the Drew Pavlis Show can grow. I have to turn off Discord. Morrison-Lackey. Okay, I will. Who's Morrison-Lackey again? Drew, if you were a unit in HOA4, what type would you be? I'd be a tank, mate. Thanks, Logie Australian. I recommend Logie Australian to go to YouTube. It's a lot easier to watch on YouTube. Heavy tank, surely. Yeah, absolutely, mate. A beast of the scrum. We got John here. Hello. John, hello. How are you going, mate? Sorry that it's late.
Man.
Sorry. Thanks for joining the
right.
Drew Pavlis Show. You should quickly share the YouTube link to your followers as well. We'll probably get a lot.
I'm doing that right now. Yeah, I just want to see if my camera was actually working. But
excellent.
I'll share that now.
And what an honor that this is actually your first multimedia appearance, I think, since you've joined.
It's definitely my first multimedia appearance. Yeah, I did a radio interview, and
okay.
I was in the newspaper. That was pretty big. Because in Tasmania, that means that when you walk around, like everyone recognizes you, especially when you look
right.
up.
Yes.
There's really no hiding from people when you have this haircut or lack thereof. So,
yeah, epic.
Yeah.
So you've had people recognizing you so far?
Yeah, well, a few. I live in Glenorchy, which is kind of like on the edge of the electorate, but it's yeah, it's a beautiful suburb. It's very cold at the moment. But
Yeah.
I walked down to the shopping center to get vapes, and that's where people recognize me.
Oh, that's
there's
brilliant.
only one place to buy vapes. So
brilliant.
I think in all of Tasmania. So everyone lining up knows that I'm the guy who's going to try and legalize them, which has been good.
That's goated. Yeah, I'll give you a minute or so to share the link and everything, and then we'll give people a minute to join, and then we can get into it. It'll be brilliant. Very excited.
Yeah, I just sent it now.
Excellent.
How have you been going, man? How was the Alex Jones interview fallout?
Look, it was actually really exciting. It was very entertaining. I can't believe it, man. I seriously can't believe it because, like, you know, I remember growing up, Alex Jones is like, you know, very notorious figure. So it's very I like that you changed the background to the anime girl. Very good.
I had my campaign background in the logo, and then because it's zoomed in, you can't actually see it. So I thought I'd put Oscar in there. She's my angel.
That's beautiful.
Look after me.
That's excellent. Yeah, it's like how I've got protector angels on my stream. Like, you know, everything.
Yeah.
This is
she's an incel icon. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And actually, we should talk because I don't think I've seen you talk about this before in the public, but you are half Greek.
I am. On my mother's side, I am actually half Greek. Yeah.
That's very powerful.
My maiden name is Alexopoulos.
That's epic. You should have gone John Alexopoulos. That would have been epic.
So there's a famous he's not like famous, he's like kind of infamous ex-councillor and occasional parliamentary contender here in Glenorchy, where I am, called Steve Mav. And he used to run like every election. But he was Steve Mavaxapakis, and he would like shrink his name down for the campaign because he was ashamed of it. But
shouldn't be ashamed of it. My family's my family's original name was Themistocles, and they changed it when they came to Australia because it was easier to pronounce. Very sad.
That's true. Yeah, barely.
So first, let's start. How cold is it in Tasmania right now? If we've got international viewers, tell them a little bit about Tasmania. What do you love about the state? What brought you back to Tasmania?
Well, I talked to people down here. Like, I kind of knew what was going on down here. Like, I was excited to come down because I thought there was a lot going on. With the government talking about the stadium, that there was going to be a lot of development, that there was going to be some opportunities down here. And I got down here a few months ago and started talking to a lot of friends, like in the development community and just in politics in general, who said, "Man, no, things are really bad right now, and everything's kind of grinding to a halt." And you can see it around town. Like, there's no cranes in the sky. People are really anxious about healthcare and not being able to get into hospital on time. And then in the background of all this, all the government talks about is this disaster of a policy to build a new stadium, which is just going nowhere.
Yeah. Let's explain to people, how small is Tasmania? Like the fact that one stadium is a huge issue for Tasmania.
So the island's like about the size of Belgium, but the population is 575,000, right? So that's it.
Yes.
That's the population.
Very small.
So the state budget revenues are 9.5 billion, which puts it into like...
Wait, how much is the revenue again?
9.5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the Brisbane City Council is like 5 billion, I think. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Crazy.
I mean, I think the City of Sydney Council would be about 7 or 8. So so it shouldn't be that hard, really. Like when you shouldn't be hard to find some really smart people who want to come down and manage a mid-sized corporation whose stakeholders are 575,000 voters and whose core business is delivering low hospital waiting times, a couple of thousand police, schools that have heating because it's like 4 degrees, like you really need heating.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that hard. Turns out.
Describe the climate for people, because we've got some people watching from overseas. Describe the climate of Tasmania for people.
It's Chilean. It's very Chilean. Because we're on the same parallel. And so it's kind of cold. So it's a little bit like Norway. When the British colonized Australia, they loved Tasmania. Like this was when they got here, when they started this colony in 1803. The first thing, they're all writing home saying, "This rules. This is just like home. Everyone come here." You know, things are bad now, but like for longer, Tasmania was founded in 1803, and for longer than it hasn't been, Tasmania was like an economic powerhouse for 100 years. For 100 years, this was like the envy of the British Empire. We had mining, agriculture, and whaling. We were one of the biggest whaling ports outside of Northern Europe for a while.
Yeah. Can you actually explain to me? I'm actually really interested. Why did it go downhill a bit? Because like it actually was like the second most settled place at first. It was right after Sydney. Yeah.
And for a period of time, it had the largest population growth. So people were like coming to Botany Bay, and then ships were taking them straight down here for a period of time, like in the mid 1800s. I mean, the economy grew so fast in the 1800s that Tasmania had 2 depressions. Not like economists study it because they're 2 of the first recorded depressions, because we had a customs house, we had a stock market, you could track it. And so, but I think the first one was in 1947 and 1847, and there was another one in the 1880s. The economy that would just boom and bust. But in the middle, like when you walk around Hobart now, it's like walking through like the ruins of the civilization, because you see there is more beautiful colonial architecture in Hobart than there is like I think anywhere else in the country. Like every other state's parliament except for the Victorians is like a repurposed barracks or like a bunkhouse or something. You come down to Tasmania, and like Tasmania's parliament is actually physically bigger than the New South Wales parliament. And it was their original customs house. Like it was like the center of trade for the Southern Hemisphere at one point. And I mean, look, Federation really knocked them around, is the honest truth. And I'd probably be careful when I say that, because my electorate, the Division of Clerk, is actually named after Inglis Clark, who was one of like the architects of the Constitution. So many of the architects of the Constitution were Tasmanian, but once Tasmania was kind of like incorporated into the Commonwealth, and everyone was paying tax into the one pool. Suddenly, a lot of its competitive advantages fell by the wayside, and Tasmania got really badly hurt by labour markets in the wake of the First World War. Because it's always been like this, and it was even like this when I was a kid. Like Tasmanian young people like joined the military in very large numbers, and so in World War One, like a high ratio of the population of Tasmanians volunteered to fight in the war, and so then they didn't come back. Factories slowed down, so that was one of the first things that kind of slowed down our economy. The end of whaling really knocked it around. And the difficulty of expanding the mines, and this is well before like hippies and environmentalists. But just because a mining infrastructure is so remote, and it was hard to kind of expand things. And forestry was a big deal here well into the 1980s, but obviously that's declined. And since then, it's like successive governments have just really struggled to figure out a way to get revenue and to make the place work better.
I've got a great point to raise for people who are watching from overseas. Just to get them excited about Tasmanian politics. Tasmania is basically the site of the first Greens movement in the entire West, right?
Yeah. It's basically where it was founded. Yeah. The original Greens movement.
Tell us about this. Explain this to us.
Bob Brown, the founder of the Greens Party, was here, and the Greens movement came out of this campaign against, and it's kind of a funny origin story, because what they were campaigning against was the damming of the Franklin River, which today is like a linchpin of our hydroelectric scheme. So the other great thing is Tasmania is completely carbon neutral energy, because we have this giant hydroelectric plant that is built by off the back of the damming of the Franklin River, which the Greens campaigned against. Because back in the 1970s, they were more worried about a dam than they were worried about renewable energy.
Wow. So the Franklin River, they did actually lose that campaign.
They did lose it, but
then that's what started.
We now have a.
They lost it, but I guess it's interesting because they lost that battle, but then that's what basically formed the first Greens.
Yeah, it's what started them off, and it's what took them nationally and internationally. I mean, those original Greens, they're from down here. I mean, ideologically, they are a lot different to.
They are,
because one of the big, these guys were all just hardline environmentalists, and if you scratch the surface of them, a lot of them have some views on population, for example, that probably aren't that much different to mine. But, when the Greens expand, well, they weren't strictly anti-immigration, but they were anti-population growth, certainly, and anti-using more resources. When they expanded onto the mainland and they got to New South Wales, they get there in the middle of a really divisive period in left-wing politics, where, after the old Labor Party split, the left is then splitting even further, and so kind of exiles from the Communist Party end up joining or creating the Socialist Alliance, and then go on to be exiled again to the Greens, which is where Lee Rhiannon comes from, who was an infamous New South Wales senator.
And actually, that's a really big story for the Greens, because I think long term, people like Lee Rhiannon actually were successful at changing the Greens. Like it is now very much a socialist party rather than a direct environmentalist party.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing I do like about the Greens down here. I got to admit, is the Tasmanian Greens, to their immense credit, they do kind of put environmentalism right at the
They're
heart
a bit different,
and like there's the two key issues I think in the campaign at the moment. I mean, only one is in my electorate, thankfully, although the other kind of is affected by it. Is obviously this construction of this stadium, but also we have like a crisis with our salmon industry. There are 3 salmon farms, which, you know, there is this growing concern about how much pollution they're pumping into the.
That's a huge one too.
Macquarie Harbour, and you know the Greens are campaigning really strongly on that, but it's hard because like Labor and the Liberals are just wedded to the salmon industry status quo. No one wants any change, so. That's going to be a really interesting one, I think. During the
it's interesting because you could kind of look at the Tasmanian economy as almost kind of like a third world economy, in the sense that it's like very resource intensive, like resource extraction intensive.
Actually, weirdly, no.
Right, okay,
although we do have a flourishing resources industry up on the northwest coast. Like, if you actually look at the receipts, we're a services economy. That's what they've done over the last. Like, if you had gone back 10, 15 years, you would have said, yeah, resources, wood and textiles in particular.
Right, yeah.
But since then, we've become a real services economy. And one of the things I'm going to be campaigning on heavily is trying to expand cannabis, legalize cannabis cultivation.
Yeah.
Because we've got a great climate for it. And there's already a farm that's doing really well. I think we need to talk more about reforming the medicinal cannabis regime in Australia. So, yeah, I'm going to be campaigning on that a lot. I think, next week or so.
So let's get into it. I was just looking at the division of Clark. So your state, it's really interesting because what's the system called? It's basically a proportional.
Hare Clark.
Yeah, Hare Clark system. So essentially, what's happening is the division of Clark has 6 available basically seats within this division, and the quota is like. I was just looking at the Wikipedia page. You could actually really win this, man, because I was looking at the Wikipedia page and like the quota is like 5,000-6,000 votes.
I think the top 2 were on around about after preferences 7,000.
Right,
each.
So that's the target
the top ones. The quota is 12.5%. I mean, there's plenty of examples where guys get up on between, as low as 1,200 and as 3,500 for the last spot. So yeah, but I mean, it is. You got to remember, it's a small population. It's got a tiny media market. So there's really like 1.5 newspapers. ABC Radio is the only game in town for news and current affairs, and I think I'm going to struggle to get on there.
Right.
So it is kind of like not that much. I mean, it seems like the quantum numbers do seem favorable until you actually weigh it all up and you go, actually, this is really on the same, like in scale wise, I'm up against the same challenge you were in the Queensland Senate, basically.
Yeah, true. I mean, that makes sense.
Last time, so one independent got up last time, Christy Johnson, who lives around where I do. And she's a former mayor, so she had a profile. Sue Hickey was running as well. She was another like liberal exile independent, and she only got 0.39. And those two were like at each other through the whole campaign. So, it will be hard. Like I'll be happy if I get like 1,000 votes. If I get 1,000 votes, that'd be a miracle.
So when is it? July 19. So you've got
it's on July 19. Yeah.
So you've got about like
just over a month. So polls opened today. The candidate nomination opens today, closes on the 26th. Dude, pre-poll opens on the 30th. So
wow, that's like really
in
close.
a couple of weeks, like 10% of the population will have voted.
Wow. So what's the campaign strategy? You're doing door knocking and all this?
Yeah, except it is super cold and I'm really unfit. So
I get you, man. Fuck, it would be extremely cold. So 5 degrees. 6 degrees.
It's right now it is. Yeah.
Wow.
So I am just going to be trying to get around to community events and stuff because there's a lot of that going on. And I mean, the big thing I think with the state where I'm campaigning and who I'm really trying to attract, which are, the people who have been left behind in political discourse in Australia generally right now. It's just guys like me. I mean, this gets buried in a lot of buried in the fallout from the federal election campaign where all the top pollsters just talk about, oh, what about the women vote and migrants vote this way or whatever. But I mean, it was buried in Cos Samaris's analysis at the end of the campaign, how like men aged 40 to 55 who didn't own homes turned on everyone. And, and these were really
they're fucked.
And, you know, it goes back to how we used to campaign when I was in the Liberals in the early 2000s, you know, like when those guys were in their 20s and they were tradies and they were making good money and they were buying McMansions and getting married. I mean, remember, 22% of the men who got married and bought a McMansion 20 years ago in the Howard years, they're divorced now. We can say with statistical certainty that they are divorced. Really sad. And so they probably don't have the equity in a home that they probably thought they did when they went into it. They've probably not done so well financially. COVID ripped the guts out of those people. And so now they're sitting there and they're angry and they're radicalizing. So, you know, I can see it walking around. Like in my neighborhood, you can kind of see there is this, like, you know, we used to call them working class people, but now it's like this forgotten underclass that just no one even like no one even talks to them. No one wants to talk to dudes. You know, we've been campaigning here. The major parties have been campaigning here for 48 hours, and like they've been made like 2 announcements on women's health and an announcement on like breast cancer clinics, which is great. But you know that'll keep rolling on through the campaign. Maybe midway they'll do like a men's shed or something.
A men's shed,
which those things are a joke. Like I can't stand it.
It's sad, man, because it is this thing where, like, I don't know. I saw the other day Hannah Ferguson, who's like the chief of one of these sort of like young women media outlets that has like 150,000 followers or something crazy on Instagram. And like the major parties were really courting her during the election because, like, you know, of the platform that represents. And like she was just chilling like vibrators on her Instagram, like just like from Temu. And the tagline she had was, "This will make you come, he won't." And I just was thinking to myself, like, what about the blokes? Like, Barnaby Joyce wants to go out there. He wants to shill an animatronic, vibrating, like rotating, full, you know, ego robot.
Right? I mean, I can't talk. I'm campaigning with Oscar behind me.
Exactly. But what about those blokes? Like, if Barnaby Joyce came out there and said,
right?
Exactly. If Barnaby Joyce came out there and said, "Buy my rotating sex doll robot with an ass massager," everyone would say he's a pervert. So this is. But
there's this strange, like, there's this logic that we used to understand in politics that's really gotten lost. And like, I remember noticing it back in the wake of the GFC when the government did those first, the first like bailout money, like the $950 everyone got. And we were doing polling on that back then. It was so weird how much it resonated with female voters. Like when you give away money like that, women voters go, yeah, that's great. That's excellent. Male voters are the ones who stop and ask the question, where are you getting the money from? And how are you spending it? Like, it wasn't that popular. And so it's kind of like this, it's like one of those men are from Mars, women are from Venus things. Like, I think in policy, men really do want to know, like, what are you doing for the country? Like, what are you doing for everyone? And I guess women kind of more interested in what, you know, what can you do for them? Like, what are they getting out of it? And as we've become more and more focused on the female vote, politicians are doing more and more of that stuff and less of the kind of big questions about how are we helping the country? You know, how are we helping everybody?
I'm definitely going to get into that with you. We've got a super chat from Corporal Pepper. Thank you for the super chat, guys. John MacGowan, you sexy beast. How can we help you get into the Tassie Parliament? So how can people from the mainland, from mainland Australia, help you? That's a great question.
So tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to put up my Facebook page, and these are Facebook campaigns down here. And like, I hate Facebook. I can't stand it. I hate using it. I hate that all my friends are on Messenger and they're not on WhatsApp. But
I know,
So I'm going to be campaigning really hard on Facebook. It's where the kind of discussion on the stadium and because, you know, it's crazy. Like, with this campaign is going to be like myopically focused on a football team. So that's one of the key issues of the campaign.
Can you explain to people, it's such a huge thing in Tasmania.
Huge, man. It's huge.
I was reading that the AFL team in Tasmania, it's like 3 or 4 years out from being created, but it already has more members than some Premier League football clubs.
Yeah, although to be fair, they do this all the time, and I remember this happened with GWS. Is that when they start the team and they offer like the founding membership, like they do. Like, I wouldn't buy too much into it, but one really interesting thing about Tasmania is look at the memberships. So North Melbourne and Hawthorn actually play their away matches down here.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, no, it's the other way around. They actually play home matches down here in Tassie. And when you look at the membership growth they experienced from Tasmanians, like there is, like it's absolutely accurate. Like there is this huge appetite for it. Look, do I think it should be the core economic policy platform for both major parties? Absolutely not.
Let me quickly, I'm going to quickly get this up for everybody on the screen. List of sport clubs by membership. Hang on. Yeah, it's actually crazy. It's fucking nuts. So you look at this, right? Benfica, number 1, Bayern Munich, River Plate, Boca Juniors, Borussia Dortmund, and then Tasmania Football Club. It's crazy.
Right?
Isn't that
crazy?
I know, it's more than any Premier League football club.
I know, right?
And
so and so that's why, like, those of us who, I mean, like, you know me, I'm not that serious, but I do take politics and the economy quite seriously. And so then when you're campaigning where like that is the central thing that you've got to get your head around. I mean, I'm lucky, like,
people. It's amazing.
Dude. And like I said, in a state with 575,000 people.
5th largest sports club in the world by total membership. That's actually fucking nuts. Half the population. That's actually insane.
It's politically fascinating though, right? Because this whole thing, like the whole issue, is that they've done this deal. The government did this deal with the AFL. And the deal is, well, we don't know what the deal says specifically because the government won't provide any clarity. But the deal, we believe, says that they're basically going to build them a $1 billion stadium, and then the AFL is going to clear the way to get this team.
Yeah.
That's the deal. We don't know what else is in the deal, what the AFL is really getting. So the government's kind of by the balls because they've got 210,000 members, like all these Tasmanians.
That's crazy,
They're desperate for the team. And so you've then got this this unedifying display where like the National Party are running down here, which is a little bit of a joke. And not as much as my candidacy, but still kind of funny. and they're campaigning on this platform of like, oh, yes to the team, but no to the stadium. When the two
where are they supposed to play?
Linked. Well, there are other grounds, but like I mean, look, the AFL makes a fairly good case for why this kind of centrally located stadium, although it weirdly does not have parking. Like there's a lot of questions over this.
Yeah, right.
Like I think, look. There's no business case. No one's seen a business case. I personally think it does stack up even at $1 billion. I think, though, you got to ask some questions and you got to make sure that Tasmanians get value for money out of it.
Why would it cost $1 billion?
Well, actually, that's a very good question, Drew. And this is actually the answer to that question is actually one of the things that spurred me to run. My mum and dad and I, we were driving down to the cemetery, which is down on the Derwent River. And the whole time, I've just been scouting around for development jobs, anything around town. And this was like the first major construction site I saw was this huge, like what looked like sewage works. And I said, what the hell's going on there? And so turns out that to build the stadium, they've spent $400 million to move a sewer pipe.
Whoa. $400 million to move a sewer pipe, though. What the fuck's going on?
This is the kind of shit they've had to do. Like the kick-on effects from not really... and like they don't have an infrastructure czar. Like it's not like in New South Wales where they had like Nick Greiner, the infrastructure czar, who was responsible for planning everything. They don't have like a Greater Sydney Commission or a Greater Victorian Commission. Like they don't have any of the kind of governance infrastructure for building anything over $100 million. Like, I mean, Gladys Berejiklian did not drag the metro train into existence by hand. Like there's like an army of really smart people who made that happen, and they just don't have that here. And yet, it's such a strange kind of political culture because on the one hand, it's like they just had this confidence. They're like, a bunch of guys who used to. I mean, I think a lot of them are like dairy farmers. The MPs. I've been going through their bios. So like people who like carried around jugs of milk are going to be able to build $1 billion stadium. We don't need any help. But at the same time, they have this lack of confidence in that. Oh, well, we need these guys more than they need us. So we need to like bend over for the AFL and do whatever they say. It's just this bizarre political culture and no one calls them out on it at all. And the media just reports
I mean, it's sad because, I mean, you'd think that Tasmania should have the leverage because they've got the huge audience, right? But yeah, it's sad. Can you explain to us, this is a good question, right? And this is like an interminable question for Australian politics. Why the fuck would it cost $400 million to move a sewer pipe? And I know like a standard explanation would be like the CFMEU and stuff like that. But like why is it that our infrastructure is just insanely expensive?
Look, I mean, I can only say I don't know much about sewage and water, but I do know a fair bit about just building things generally. Like the first thing is always holding costs. So when you calculate out those things, so the land is doing something, you either make money from the land or the land is depreciating, in which case you're writing it off. So then when you have to do something with it, the time it takes to plan it and do it, it's like that comes off the price. So like developers call this like the holding cost. Like how much is it costing you to sit there and do nothing? So that's the first big expense. The actual planning of things, the regulatory side, the legal side, in some cases can be 10 to 15% of a gross bill. And so in a state like Tasmania, we've got such strict planning controls and environmental controls, I wouldn't be surprised if that blows out to 20. The other thing you got to remember in Australia right now is whenever you want to do anything, the Pacific peso. Right, our dollar is I mean, our dollar's like, it could, depending on how bad things get, could go down to 60 cents again.
Why is it? Can you tell us about that? Why is the Australian dollar so weak?
I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I think it's got something to do with. I actually honestly don't know because currency markets aren't my thing. But I think it's got something to do with the lack of growth that we've experienced in the last since COVID. I think that's a driving factor, and probably like some international factors around resources prices and stuff. But look, it's a reality that you have to deal with, and there's no for major infrastructure projects, like there's no stadium IKEA that you can just go to in Hobart and just get pieces for a stadium and build it like Lego. You have to that is true. You got to go overseas. You got to buy stuff, and so you got to use currency exchange, and that all adds up, and that's why things are more expensive. I mean, when this project was first mooted, I don't know, I think it was like in 2022, 2023, because it was like stimulus at the back of COVID. I mean, they were talking about 375 million. Like,
it's gone up so much. There's that.
I looked online.
Yeah,
I looked online, and like right now globally, there's 14 stadiums going on. Because I was honestly on the fence about supporting the stadium or not, probably until like the weekend. And one of the things that did convince me on it was I had a look at all global stadium development right now. There are 14 stadiums under development globally. And like a lot of them, actually the majority of them, which are being built in the UK and the US, are being built in places with an economic profile very similar to Tasmania's. So these US flyover states, these like outer northern suburbs of the UK, and the same kind of scale for football stadiums. And like the price point for all of them is around the same. Like there's a stadium in Wisconsin that's being built at the moment, which Wisconsin's a great one because it's so demographically and economically close to Tasmania. And like the bill on that is 500 million US, and no one's batting an eyelid about it.
And that's $1 billion. That's $1 billion Australia, basically.
Basically might as well be, right? But here's the interesting thing, and this is what I'm going to be like trying to push the major parties on every chance I get, is that when you look at all 14 stadiums around the world that are currently under construction, and with the exception of the ones being built by Arab petrostates, they're all being built by private enterprise. And for a lot of them, particularly the American ones, like the business cases for those are online, and you can read them, and they're for profit. They're saying, we're going to spend $1 billion in this stadium, but we're confident of revenues between 100 and 150 million
a year.
And so then you look at and how do they make that money? They make it. It's the on-field advertising, the naming rights, clipping the ticket on ticket sales. Like this is how they make money out of stadiums. And so you got to then ask the question about Macquarie Point. Is that if the Tasmanian government was going to be clipping the ticket on out-of-home advertising, naming rights, ticket fees, rent in general and leases in general, they would have said something by now. They would have put that in the budget and said, okay, this is going to be expensive, but this is what we anticipate getting back over the forward estimates. They've not breathed a word of that so far. There was an interview with the head of Stadiums Tasmania about 12 months ago, and the newspaper asked him about naming rights. He said, we're in early discussions. We anticipate like $1 to $2 million. That's insane. I've been looking at naming rights for stadiums smaller than this one. and they go for $25-30 million. So
and people all around Australia would know about it because obviously, like, they're playing the AFL.
Yeah,
so it doesn't make sense.
But again, it goes back to that point I made about confidence. It's like there's this confidence issue with like, oh, it's little old Tasmania. We can't flog the naming rights to our stadium. You know, we're gonna have to call it like Chicken Feed Stadium or something. But I mean, it's going to be going out 5 games, I don't however many games a year. It's going to be going out all over the world. Like if you're a marketing manager, if you're an advertising salesperson, I mean, you're not going to be lowballing prices at this brand new stadium just because it's in Tasmania.
Dude, like, who cares that it's in Tasmania? Because like anyone in Melbourne who loves AFL, they're going to hear that name every single day, basically.
Yeah.
We've got a great comment here. Pickles LeBlanc has left a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Pickles LeBlanc. He says, like Taiwan, Tasmania has a Bass Strait separated from the mainland. Does John support an echidna strategy to protect Tasmania from mainland Australia? Great.
I kind of do, actually. I mean, I kind of do. Well, but here's the big challenge for Tasmania is that so we are the net beneficiaries of the GST. So so if you went and bought an exorbitantly priced cup of coffee today in Melbourne or Canberra or Sydney, the 10% of that, a more significant portion of that is coming down to us in Tasmania than your state government is keeping.
That's
like when you look at when I talked about that $9.5 billion that we're getting, like, I mean, a lot of that, the bulk of that is coming from GST. And so, we can't really afford to leave. Actually, although, there are a few things that we really need to think about decoupling on. One of the biggest ones is energy. Because like I was saying before, we have this glorious hydroelectric energy system down here. And then someone, a Liberal, stupidly, a few years ago, joined us up to the national energy market. So despite having free, clean energy from water, Tasmanians pay the same price as you do in Queensland from, I don't know, how do Queenslanders generate energy? You throw...
Mostly brown coal,
into...
Sure.
Yeah,
mostly black coal. Yeah. Mostly black coal, actually. I think it's like 70%. I think it's 70% of the market in Queensland.
And so Tasmanians pay the same. Tasmanians pay the same, and it's insane.
That's amazing. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, someone in the chat just said hydroelectric power plants are based as fuck. I totally agree. And this is kind of like where I kind of stand on politics just general. Like some things are just fucking cool, right? Like
I agree. Absolutely
cool. Right. And you know, every country that's ever built one has just experienced a boom, like from the Hoover Dam to the Snowy Hydro project.
Oh, the Hoover Dam is so based.
Yeah. One thing I want to get into during the campaign is there's a proposal to have a cable car that goes up Mount Wellington that is just intensely divisive here. Like they hate it. Like I don't know, because they hate fun. Like cable car, and everyone says, "Oh, it'll be an eyesore." I'm like, cable cars are the most aesthetic thing imaginable. Like if there's an eyesore, why did James Bond movies like usually feature some kind of cable car chase? Like they're cool. Like if they would bring the next James Bond movie down here if we had.
That would be fucking amazing. Can I ask you this question, right? It is the case that Tasmania is a lot more poor than mainland Australia, right? Like on a per capita basis, or I mean, I was just looking at the per capita stats on Wikipedia, and it was saying like it's 70,000 GDP per capita, but the actual incomes are not like that, right? What's the average income in Tasmania?
Hold on, I'm just screenshotting because I want to whatever that last comment was. I will like write that down and answer.
Swindon said cable car. Swindon said cable cars are verifiably Aryan, and before you also was very true.
No, not Swindon. It's 123 Max ABC. He was talking about
the Victoria Park thing. Hang on, let me try find that comment. And the other comment, he was asking, "What's your plan to win over Kaz Ross's vote?" Which is a very powerful vote in Tasmania.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. If I see Kaz Ross coming, I'm running in the other direction.
Has she called you a fascist before? I think she's called me a fascist, which is interesting.
I think she's definitely called me a fascist before. But I didn't realize this, and there was, I must say thank you to another candidate who messaged me to tell me this. I did not need to put my whole street address in my Twitter bio for the authorization.
Oh, epic!
I thought it was like on the mainland where you have to put your whole address in. And they're like, no, dude, don't do that. Like they're gonna come to your house. So
that was my main. That was my main problem. I had that problem with my campaign.
Yeah, you would have had the same thing. So Kaz Ross knows where I live now, which is a huge problem.
That's really bad because she's probably going to do some kind of like Antifa rally outside your house.
Yeah.
That's actually epic.
Worried about that. I think this is a nice thing. I mean,
is
the nice thing about running down here is, Victoria Park is here.
This was, I think, about Queensland's Olympic Stadium. Brisbane's Olympic
Stadium. Right. I thought he said Macquarie Park, so I wasn't looking.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Queensland. But what you were saying before about Tasmanians having like lower per capita incomes is true. But big things you got to remember. Two big things you got to remember.
Yeah.
housing down here, while it is getting more expensive, and like, you know, Australia's the most expensive place to live in the world, and Tasmania is the least expensive place to live in Australia.
Yeah.
So
true.
we do have that benefit that it is like a little bit cheaper to live down here. But the other thing is that I noticed straight away is just stuff is cheaper. Like, I'm drinking these fantastic Tassie Brew lagers, which are by Moo Brew, so down at Mona, just to give them a plug.
Oh, Mona,
and you get like a 6-pack for $18, and like I haven't gotten to the bottom of this, but I suspect there is some kind of deal on like locally made beer where they're dropping the excise or something. So like, even just like things like a 6-pack of beer are less expensive. Right. A lot of produce is less expensive. Like our local bread, our local milk. God, man, I saw eggs for like $3.90 yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's, I think just like day-to-day living is a lot cheaper down here. So it kind of got, it's really interesting, right? Because, you know, if you look at what just happened in the United States with Trump, and to a lesser extent here, it didn't kind of manifest here, but, you know, when governments talk about like full employment and lifting wages, I think it turns out that people really don't care about that as much as you think. And what people really care about is making sure things are cheap, because and COVID taught us all that we can actually live on a bit less money if we're not spending so much money. So I think people are coming around to this view that, you know, if I can be happy on maybe a lower income, but if my food is cheap, if education for my kids is cheap, if I don't have anxiety about healthcare, and that's like one of the big things that's coming through when I talk to punters down here, and it's hard for me because somehow in 20 years of politics, I just know nothing about healthcare at all. I've never been sick. I mean,
it's complex.
Several doctors and a priest have issued statements saying they don't even believe I can die. So I know nothing about healthcare, but everyone has this like anxiety. And they're like, it takes 2 hours to get to the hospital in
Tasmania.
And when you get, it can do. Like, ambulance waiting times are insane. They have these big problems with something called bed block, which I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds really bad. And when like little old ladies come up to you at the bottle shop and start talking to you about it as a political candidate, you think, there's a problem. I'm gonna have to have a look at that one. So,
bloody hell.
But it's not like, it's interesting when you talk to people. It's never like a first-hand story. It's always just, they're just expressing this deep anxiety, like, oh, what if something happens to my mum? Like, and I've got to like get her to the hospital, and it's going to take ages. And like, that's a bad way to be if you've got people who are anxious about that stuff. I mean,
absolutely.
And the government's in that position because they just have no money. So $9.5 billion in revenue, they're spending $10.8 billion. They're in right now $1.3 billion debt. And in 4 years, that's going to balloon to $10.5 billion. And that's coming off how much you can do on, you know, building hospitals, building schools.
What's the main expenses for the Tasmanian state government?
Healthcare. Before getting into this, I really should have done more reading on healthcare. But my mum's a nurse, and I've just kind of like always outsourced my opinions on health to her. So
that's something interesting to learn.
I might have to do like a joint press conference. Like, the candidate for Clark has brought his mum.
You should do that. That'd actually be epic.
To help him explain.
That'd be epic. You should do stunts as well, John. You should I saw someone say this in the comments, but like, you should literally campaign with the girl from Evangelion.
I should, yeah.
It
I think that would be huge for the kids,
they'd actually fucking love that. You should do TikTok as well.
I am planning a stunt, like, because I mean, I get like irrationally angry over the little dumb things government does. Like, I have this like broken windows theory of government that when you notice these like little ridiculously dumb things, it's usually indicative of like a larger problem. And I was at they have like a container recycling scheme here. So, you know, like, you've got them on the mainland, right? Where you go up and put cans in and stuff and you get the 10 cents back. So they have one in down the road from me in Glenorchy, and it's drive-through. Like, you're meant to like drive through with your cans, but it's not up and running properly. So we calculated that you spend more money burning petrol in the queue than you do actually getting back for your cans. And no one stopped and thought about this when they did a drive-through can system. And then the more you look at it, it's like this classic story in Tasmania. So they've given the whole thing away as a monopoly to one provider.
I hate shit like that. Why do governments do that? It's just so fucking dumb. Like, natural.
It is ridiculously dumb. Yeah. Well, Tasmania is like the heartland for like state-endorsed monopolies, and they all suck, and they all just lead to crisis after crisis. One of the biggest issues, which is kind of driven by Andrew Wilkie and the kind of Puritan teal kind of people, is the campaigns against gambling, right?
Yes.
Which I do not agree with. I think everyone should be free to have a punt, but in Tasmania, you have a complete monopoly on poker machines by one. It's not even just one company; it's one family. Through Federal Casino Group.
Crazy story. Wasn't Martin Bryant? He married or something like that. It was like an heiress of the Tas Lotto or something like that.
Oh no. So when his mother died, he, I think, was friends with distant relation of the Tattersalls.
It was a distant relation, something like that. That's how he inherited money from that lady, and then that's how he got his money.
Yeah. But and then there was always the suspicion that he had something to do with her death. She died in a car accident.
I remember that one actually, because he kept on he kept on lunging for the wheel like multiple times.
Oh, that's right, because you've been sparring with Port Arthur truthers recently.
A little bit, and I've seen the film Nitram, which is actually a pretty good film. I've read so much about Port Arthur and stuff like that. Actually, can we talk a little bit about Port Arthur?
I was here when it happened. I was 12 years old.
And tell us about it.
We had a shack down at Eaglehawk Neck, which is like around the corner from Port Arthur. And at the time, my mum was she was the head nurse of the emergency department.
Holy shit!
We'll
explain for people who are watching from overseas. This was the worst mass shooting in Australian history. 35 people.
It was one of the worst in the world until Anders Breivik.
Yeah, literally before Breivik, this was literally one of the worst mass shootings ever. And I think the main reason because of this is because he actually killed most of the people that he shot. So I think it was a really high mortality rate because he was shooting people from really up close. So this was something that I had and the reason why this is such an infamous thing in Australia is it led to the banning of like semi-automatic rifles and everything, which I guess a lot of people in America look to as like a great thing that happened and everything. The reason I was sparring with some of the truthers, and I think it was what's his name? Chopper Reed, bless his soul. He said like,
I've seen that.
Yeah. I remember Chopper. He was going like, he was picking them off from 400 yards away, 500 yards away. And then I remember like when I was a kid, I was like, because I used to read conspiracy shit when I was like 13, and I remember like reading somewhere like someone was like, like to stop one of the cars, he shot into the engine to block it, and it's a technique that only the Mossad teach and stuff like that. But there
are a few of those things. Yeah,
but the thing is, I looked into it and like, I don't think he picked off anybody from 400 yards. I'm pretty sure every person who died was like really close. I was because he was like standing over people. About 20 people died in the gift shop, which is just like he literally stood up at the door of a gift shop at a cafe and he just shot into a crowd. And he was like 5 meters away from people with a gun. Yeah, like it was a really brutal mass killing.
It was crazy. And like this is the thing about the truthers that I get. I mean, I'm a widely known conspiracy theorist, but like, at least I know that one did happen. Like my mum was like sitting next to his bed in hospital. Like she's looked the guy in the eye, and like, I went to school with guys whose parents were injured. Yeah, like I was at school with people who were there who were injured. Like the whole thing definitely happened. I mean, and your mum, for people who are
your mum with Martin Bryant, what was he like on the hospital bed?
He was horribly burned. He got really badly burned, and so he was just like basically in bed in pain with a bunch of cops watching him. The thing that I always say to conspiracy theorists on it that you can do to kind of convince yourself that, well, it really happened the way they said it happened. No one talks about this. I don't know why this isn't more widely known, but WikiLeaks has all the documents. So
really?
You can just
why?
Someone leaked all the documents to WikiLeaks back before Julian Assange was on the run. It was one of like the earliest.
Let me try to look this up. WikiLeaks.
Just type in WikiLeaks Port Arthur. Oh, actually, no.
I didn't even know that.
WikiLeaks Martin Bryant.
Yeah, what the fuck? It does come up. What the fuck?
Did you see the other day? I think I responded to a post you made, and I said that thing about and I posted the. Actually, can you just don't put it on the screen because one of the problems is that it has the names of a lot of kind of people. Like I think when I respond to you,
that's what John. That's why Assange was a retard because unlike other things, like,
classic Assange.
Because unlike like say. Remember that big leak about the it was like the Mossack Fonseca or whatever, like the offshore papers. So all these proper journals actually like went through it. They redacted names and stuff like that. Whereas Julian Assange was a bit of a retard. Like I think he did it maliciously. Like he had this philosophy where he just dumped names and like.
Well, yeah, I think it was like it was his political ideology, which was the same for a lot of that kind of like hacker community in the 1990s. It's like information wants to be free or whatever. But there's some like there's the names of like his gun dealer and stuff are in there, which is like
because it's funny because Cameron Murray messaged me and he said, do you have a way to contact Julian Assange? Maybe you might know him because you're an activist. And then he was like, oh, no, actually, sorry, I just saw all your tweets about him. Sorry, you actually really get him. And like, people might be surprised by that. That's what set Friendly Geordies off into attacking me on his YouTube or whatever, because I was attacking.
Oh, really?
I
met him once. I met him once. It was in 2004, and he was at a house party at Joe Hildebrand's house.
Fucking hell, really?
He was hiding under a blanket. And
Joe Hildebrand's house. What the fuck?
I think he was staying. He was a friend of Joe Hildebrand's flatmate, and he was staying like hiding under a blanket while this house party was going on. Yeah,
that's fucking.
And like, because you could. He's kind of like me. Like you recognize him straight away. Like he had all this like white hair. And,
it's insane you ran into him in the party because, to be honest, he's probably one of the most influential Australians to ever live. Like, I don't know if you compare
definitely.
If you compare like a random prime minister who was a bit of a placeholder, like if you compare like a random prime minister,
of this like century for sure. I mean, like, and it's quite like I'm quite like I don't agree with a lot of what he does, but like I'm a big fan of WikiLeaks as a project, and like it is just even to this day, like it's just fascinating to scroll through it. You find so much stuff. I mean, like that page. It is worth just reading it yourself in private and not.
I will read it later. What I was going to say is, the reason I had a fight, the reason I didn't like Assange was like my reading of it was that like he just dumped a lot of names regarding like Western assets in like China, Iran, and Russia, and they all just
people died. Like people literally died.
Yeah. I know for example that like a lot of the CIA networks in China just got like rounded up and just killed, and I wonder if it had anything to do with Assange and like. Am I thinking right? Is like I'm just fully pro-West at this point. I'm not going to like tolerate somebody like literally just helping Russia and China like just kill our assets. Like that's my point, right? Like some people say, "Oh, Drew's a,"
and especially, and it's one of those things too. Like when you think about the kind of like political culture back when he was doing it, like at the height of like when people were tuning into the Daily Show and fuck George Bush and whatever.
I know.
And you think about everything that's happened since, and you think, wow, that was actually. That was better. That was better than whatever we have going on right now.
How fucking
I kind of miss that.
That whole normie anti-Bush stuff. You know what's funny, John? Like that was kind of my first introduction to politics because I was like grade 4. I was like grade 3 or grade 4, and I remember like I used to love reading Mad magazine, and through that's how I got like introduced to like all this kind of like millennial. It was like millennial mid 2000s sort of anti-Bush pop culture. And that's why like I just have so little kind of tolerance for like there's guys I know like who like they got one-shotted by the WMD thing because they were like it was like their formative political experience. They were like 18, 19, WMDs happen, and then like forevermore they're like, oh fuck the West and stuff like that. But like for me, I was like a kid. I feel like I grew out of all that shit. So it's like I don't know. Like obviously WMDs was fucked up, but like I know guys who like it one-shotted their politics forever, and I don't know. Like I was like
it was a crazy time though.
I was 9 years old, back then.
The problem was like, and then everything kind of happened so fast over that. After that, you don't really have time to stop and kind of think about like what was happening. I mean, we were stuck in this war that was going really badly. But what everyone forgets is that it starts to go really well. Like everyone kind of ignores it by then because like Obama comes in, they kill Osama bin Laden, and then it's the forever war, and then suddenly the Republicans are campaigning against it as well. So both sides of the American like political elite is suddenly anti the war in the Middle East. But that's when they start winning it.
Yeah,
that's when they win it, and that's when they. I mean, right now there is no Al Qaeda. We had Al Qaeda. Yeah. At one point, there were Al Qaeda cells within 1,000 kilometers of Australia in Indonesia. And today, everyone's dead, and Al Qaeda is no threat to the world.
You know what's really funny? I read someone say this that like Jelani's like the last survivor, like the guy in charge of Syria right now. He's like literally the last survivor, but it was because he was like, it's because he had like the foresight to be like, okay, I have to like literally rebrand myself. I can't be a fucking Al Qaeda guy. Like we're not going to win.
I don't reckon he's going to make it. I really don't think he's going to make it.
Really? I think he's going to make it.
I don't think I think that's one that in the meantime, I mean, back then there was this kind of lack of confidence in like the Saudi regime, the Jordanians, the Qataris, I think they've gotten over that now, and I think there's a lot of like, you know, I think Saudi Arabia sees itself as the peninsula's policeman, and I don't think they're going to let it go. Like, I think they'll, bad things are going to happen to that guy. I think they'll.
I think my read on him meeting with MBS and Trump is that he's kind of got their tacit approval. Like, I think a lot of people are like,
But remember that is a region of deep states, right? Like, I mean, I don't think it's like the meme, like, you know, have you asked Jesus? Like, have you asked the intelligence services? Like, I don't reckon he's going to make it, man. I really
well, who do you think would take him out though?
Well, I think you're just going to see not regime change. I think you're going to see massive border change through that whole region, and you know, Syria and Iraq. I don't see how ultra long term. I just don't think Iraq is a viable national project, and I don't think Syria is going to be a viable national project either. Like, at this point, the major national projects in that region are Jordan and the Saudis. Like,
the rest, I've got a comment up on the screen. The rest of the politics interview with him mentioned that he's the last senior member of Al Qaeda. Like, literally everyone else got killed. It's crazy, actually. Literally,
they killed him all.
And it's actually such an amazing story because, like, he literally was a prisoner of the US for a couple years. And then
he was like in one of those black sites from like 0 days.
Yeah, literally in the fucking black site. And then he ends up meeting Trump, shaking the hand of the serving US president as the head of state of Syria. It's actually such an amazing fucking transformation.
You got to wonder who did he give up to get there? I mean, that's the only reason they were letting these guys out was to find out who they were going to meet.
Well, you know what I think it actually was? I think they basically signaled they're not going to go to like war with Israel. They're going to basically put a lot of like the jihadist shit to the side. Then they fought with ISIS, they fought with Al Qaeda in Syria. They basically said we will not allow foreign terrorist groups in. So I think that's why they're being tolerated. To be honest, that's my read on the situation.
For now, I just don't. That's going to last. What's going to be really interesting is what happens at the end of the week. By the end of this week, with Iran and the Hormuz.
Yes, Strait. We should talk about. We need to talk about this.
Yeah. Do they? I mean, because that for us in Australia, like this, I think you can tell when you look at Penny Wong, like this is the thing everyone's worried about because. And I mean, globally, the West in general needs to be, you know, shitting their pants the prospect of 30 to 40% increases in oil prices, which it won't happen straight away. But you know, and you're looking at, I think like the lead-in time, it's about 2 weeks they've modelled that they can kind of get stuff. I think there's a port at Jeddah that they send stuff out of. But then
if they close the Strait of Hormuz, if they close the Strait, that'd be a disaster.
And then you're looking at, you know, 30-40% of the Singaporean crude, which is 35% of the world's oil. It disproportionately affects us. It does. Yeah. It's not going to affect US refineries. It's not. Yeah, because
they're a net exporter now. They're a net exporter.
Well, and it's also just like the direction the oil goes in, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it would then it means our barrels going a long way around. It means going overland through Saudi Arabia. I mean, it just becomes a nightmare scenario. But like, if you wouldn't want to be an oils future trader in the next couple of weeks. So, and then that's what's going to trigger like hyperinflation. Like, you know, they're going to have to remodel the goddamn stadium. Like at some point during the campaign. If this happens during the campaign, we'll be putting our press releases saying, our stadium is going to go from like $1 billion to, you know, $1.5 billion.
Fucking hell. So I really learned. I learned the hard way through the Ukraine war how energy costs basically are like the main driver of like inflation. And everything. It kills everything. Yeah, because it's the building block of civilization. It literally nothing can function without it.
And the Iranians know this, and so that's why they're going to target Hormuz. I mean, the question is like, how long can they conceivably do it?
But if they do that, it's almost like suicide on their part though, because they rely on the oil revenues too.
So they rely on. I think they charge like a levy or something, like a tax. Like they clip the ticket on the way through. There's like a not being fucked with by Iran tax.
So
that's going to be one of the big problems.
By the way, we've actually got a great audience. We had just 60 people watching live just recently on YouTube. Guys, if you're watching live, leave a like on the show so YouTube will recommend us to more people. Very important. The Drew Pavlis show is rising. Leave a like on the Drew Pavlis show. Sorry about that, John. So
that's all right, man. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Very important. We've got a comment here.
I've always wanted to say that.
Yeah, exactly. You should do it. I've got a comment here saying Al-Sharaa gave intelligence on Baghdadi, who Trump then killed off. Interesting. That's what someone says. But yeah, let's go into the Iran stuff. So where do you reckon things are going?
Badly, very badly, dude. Like,
it's bad, eh?
This is like, it's not even a test for Trump. Like, Trump's just drawn the line in the sand, said it's your problem. Like, and now it's everyone else's problem.
What is Trump's actual game here? Like, I mean, it seems that he's
America first. It's the policy.
But it seems that he's supporting Israel, though.
Well, you got to wonder, like, you know what I think it is? He's probably preventing Iran from destroying any shared infrastructure. Because when you look at, I was looking at some video before, and look, I'm not entirely convinced that half the videos we're seeing aren't actually just AI. But when you look at the video of some of the exo-atmospheric interceptions, like those are US THAAD systems.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. America has jets in the air.
So then you got to ask the question: what's going on at what's it called? NORAD, not the place where the Americans.
Oh, CENTCOM. You're thinking
CENTCOM. Yeah, what's going on at CENTCOM?
Eternal CENTCOM. It never ends.
Yeah. So how are they like? Why are they picking some missiles and not others? It's got to be because they're tracking like Iranians targeting Israeli facilities that they have an interest in.
I'm not sure. It could just be the case that some of them are getting through because I've read that like the vast majority have been shot down, but it's maybe like a couple dozen that get through. And I mean, maybe that's just the typical fail rate in a kind of air defense system. I don't know.
The question is this just like an escalation of what they usually do, which is just like a brief exchange? In the past, when the Americans have done it, it's like someone's obviously ringing Iran and saying, "Hey, we're going to blow up this airfield," and then Iran says, "Yeah, everyone that we like can leave the airfield." I'll
never forget when Trump did that. When Trump had the strikes against the Assad regime, they called up the Russians an hour before and just said, "This is the exact one we're targeting," and then they were evacuated.
Yeah. So that was how things used to go, and now there's been this like escalation, which I think is because of Israel targeting civilian scientists. This is probably the red line that's been crossed.
Oh, civilian scientists, like it. Do you really like it? That's a big one.
I do. Yeah, I just you know what, Drew. Drew, I want to live in a world where we just don't kill nuclear scientists. Like,
yeah, I know, but like,
if we were picking who gets to go in the bunker to survive the asteroid, we're putting an Iranian nuclear scientist in there before Netanyahu, right? If you want to talk about who's more valuable to the future of civilization, I would rather have the Iranian nuclear scientists.
But here's the thing, though, John. We both know, though, like it's not just that Iran has like a humble, peaceful nuclear energy program. We both know, like they are very intent on getting a bomb and trying to like.
Yeah, sure they are. But dude, I'm old enough to remember that when North Korea was doing this. I mean, North Korea got the bomb. Remember that? Like, we were all freaking out. We were freaking out that North Korea would get the bomb, and it was the end of the world. And then now North Korea has the bomb. When was the last time you heard from North Korea? Like, what are they doing with their bomb? They're just sitting there with their bomb doing nothing.
That said, though,
I don't think it's the end of the world.
I still think that it should have been like I still think that the world should have intervened to try to stop them from getting a bomb. The North Koreans.
I think. Look, yes, you should always be stopping rogue states from getting nuclear weapons, but. You can. The reality
is we're going. I can see one of the big mega trends of the next 20-30 years just mega nuclear proliferation everywhere. Maybe like just 50 states getting nukes.
But I mean, the last 50, 60 years prove that's not necessarily a bad thing if everyone's got them and no one wants to use them. The trick is regimes. Like it's and
I think the question. If you look at this is the question though, John. Like we can look back and be like, oh, it seems like I remember hearing this once. Someone was like. Oh, well, if you look at the past 75 years or 80 years, there hasn't been a nuclear bomb exploded in anger since World War II. Therefore, that you could actually see them as like a guarantor of peace. But somebody else could equally just say like, well, that's just like, that could just be luck so far. Like it's a guarantor of peace.
It could be. Look, sure, it could be. I mean, it could be, but I mean, there also comes a point where if everyone's also panicking about energy security, you're then going to be in this position where there's they've got a double reason to start enriching uranium. So it's not just So there's that becomes a problem as well. So you're going to say to developing countries, oh, you can't have nuclear energy because just in case one day you go rogue and you decide you want a bomb, I don't think we can do that. And look, I mean, this is Trump's whole platform is that he doesn't think America should be in that business anymore. And I tend to agree that they shouldn't. But for the rest of the world, you have this question of how do we stop in the Middle East, this engulfing our energy market and creating
it's going to fuck everything.
Scenario where
I'm really upset. It's going to help Russia a lot. Like it's going to give a massive boost to the Russian economy because oil prices go up.
I don't know, dude. Did you see the thing today where Iran is now begging Russia for military assistance, and Russia's like saying, "I don't see where on the contract it says that." Like,
that's a bad. I did see that.
That's a bad message to send to your allies. Like, that's not good.
I also heard that Putin was warning Khamenei to quickly get a deal because there's a realistic risk that the regime could collapse, and I think that's actually a real thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a great thing. Did you see that the crown princess, the queen?
Oh, are you talking about the Shah?
Yeah, I'm pro her. I am whatever that protest in the States is about, the no kings thing. I'm the opposite of that. I am the yes king candidate. Like,
it's interesting that
I want to bring them back at every level.
The Iranian diaspora is like, there's a really big pro Shah segment in the Iranian diaspora, and a lot of you'll see it a lot of these protests. Look, it's interesting. Like
the Shah was based. Bring back the Shah. Like I mean, and I think. That's going to be funny.
Better than the jihadist regime they've got right now.
Absolutely. Right. Duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know where it's going to end up, but look, it just would be nice if they all stopped killing each other for a while because it's becoming extremely annoying for us here because we have to put up with the division in our own communities that our governments are just completely inept at stopping. I mean,
look,
it's crazy. It's crazy the way, people thousands of kilometers from these conflicts just pick a side and go, look, like you've got young people wearing kafirs, going to Yochi and saying, yeah, I'm an Iran guy now. I don't know. I think what Iran's doing is pretty cool.
It's funny because
the enemy of my enemy is my friend. This kind of attitude. Like, really, dude? It's Iran.
It's funny because like I know that somebody will say to me, well, Drew, you've got a side in it, blah blah. You're very pro-Zionist, but honestly, the way I describe myself to people, I try to explain this. It's a reaction to the left-wing tankies. It really is a reaction to the left-wing tankies. Yeah. Like I think I've said this to you before, John. Like, because I know you're a bit of an Israel critic and everything. I know there are people out there going like, oh, Drew's doing it for shekels. Drew's doing it to get paid by Mossad. Realistically, it actually is a reaction to tankies. Like all these tankies who are like pro-CCP, pro-Russia, they've wanted to kill me for all these years, right? They celebrate the death threats against me. And then they want me to like fucking support them in like eternal jihad against Israel. Like I'm not going to do that, right?
Have you stopped to consider that the Mossad gang stalking may be so deep that they plant the tankies there to trigger you so that you turn and support them? Like that's the kind of 5D chess these guys play.
Do you know Jay Tharapple? By any chance?
No, I
don't. He was a PhD student of Tim Anderson at the University of Sydney, so he was a massive hardcore tanky. And we had a kind of like frenemy hate, like we had like a frenemy sort of relationship for a couple of years, where like as political debaters, right? Because we'd constantly debate with each other online, and he was like the one tanky that I could kind of like. He was like the one tanky that wouldn't straight up say like kill Drew. So like we could have debates and everything. And like we got a chat from Julian Hay, who's like a right-wing guy that I know in Brisbane. He's saying like Jay's a wonderful guy. So the funny thing with Jay is like that was his theory, because his theory was that like I think Jay, like after we had like just years and years of like battle with one another, I think we had a bit of like a kind of like frenemy type friendship that existed. And I think he couldn't work. He had the cognitive dissonance where like all his friends are tankies who want to be dead, but he liked me a bit.
Yeah.
And he likes all these regimes that want to kill me. So I guess his cope was, oh, well, all the people who do death threats to Drew, all the guys who tried to beat up Drew at UQ with the CCP stuff, they're actually deep. Like he was basically saying what you just said. He was saying like, oh, they're deep covered Mossad guys who are like his theory, his great conspiracy theory was the CIA planted all these tankies to attack you, Drew, and then that's what made you into a pro-American guy.
Yeah.
To be honest, if they
that's
did
how deep
that,
it goes.
If that's real, they've done well. Like if that's the truth, if they did that. I think
I've had run-ins with those guys before in politics. Like I had, do you remember Shaket Musulmani? He's a Labour figure who was a full-blown tanky. He was full-blown Hamas tanky. And he was crazy Hamas guy. Like he was. Yeah. This was before. This was a decade.
This was 15 years ago. So for people watching the stream who are overseas, he's the guy who got raided by ASIO because he was considered to be like the top CCP asset in Sydney or something like that. I'll get this.
So he eventually goes because of his links to China. But back when we were in politics, we were more interested in getting him on the fact that he was going to all these events with all these Hamas guys. And one day I was in my office and I got a call from the front desk to say that someone had dropped off a package for me. And so I go down because I was like skeptical because I'm not very well liked. And I was like, shit, what's in this package? Like, I open it up and it was 400 pages of the most meticulous dirt I'd ever seen in my life. Like and it was all these like individual social media clips, a lot of which had been deleted.
On Shaukat?
On Shaukat. It was like all this stuff, all these like meetings he'd been to, and he deleted it off Facebook, except someone had concluded QR codes on the bit of paper, and when you scanned them, they went to the like web archive page, so you could see it all. So we had all these receipts.
Shaukat is actually like full race communist. Like it's actually crazy that this guy.
Oh yeah. He's
like he obviously hates Australia.
Training at camps in Libya, communist. It's incredible the Labor ever put him into parliament. But like we later figured out with this document, these documents came from someone at the Israeli embassy, and they were just dropping it off to every dirt guy. But honestly, we did end up using some of it because it was high quality stuff.
Honestly, though, like he's such a fucking psycho. Like why the fuck is there this race communist in the Parliament of New South Wales? Like he's a full blown race communist. If you asked him, if you asked his opinion on white people, he'd be genocidal. He'd straight up be genocidal.
But this is the problem with the Labor Party. Like this is the big challenge because you've got like on the one side you've got like the rank incompetence of the Liberals, and on the other side you have like this whatever it takes attitude. The Labor Party will pre-select this guy who's a threat to our national security just to get like 10 votes at their national conference.
Yeah, that's how it works. Well, there's a Landy comment here, John. John Landy here. He said that was probably one of my dirt files. Don't blame the foreign embassy. That's a good one. That's a great one.
I'll let as if Landy knows how to include a QR code. Good to see you, Andrew.
I would love to have Andrew Landy on a show with you. Just talking.
We should do. Because we should do it in person. Like that would be a great like round table.
Because I think Andrew Landy's like his reputation is basically that he's like the top dirt guy on the left kind of thing. I think that's how you go.
I don't think was Andrew ever on the left. I thought he was.
Oh no, he's like Labor right. He's hardcore Labor right. Like to be honest, I think Landy could easily be like a liberal. To be honest, but he'd probably take
the early Vex News content. Like you could tell he was like liberal envious. Like they definitely spent the early days of Vex News was so much more focused on the libs than they were.
I'm really politically, honestly, John. I feel so politically confused right now in Australia because like you know, on my economic views are still basically social democratic, like sort of like labor rights sort of thing. Yeah. But then I guess like on foreign policy, I'm like fully pro-West and everything. And then I guess the main way that I've broken with the left over the past year is like I've become just a lot more critical of like just open borders type migration. And like I just look at Britain, for example. I'm like, it's a fucking disaster. So I don't know.
Like it's look, putting aside my own views on immigration, like it's just become kind of indicative of like where the culture's at now, where you're not allowed to have a sensible third position on anything, right? So when anything happens, it's like the world kind of forces you to pick two sides. So you know, there used to be a lot of anti-immigration proponents of the left for a whole host of reasons: economic, demographic. Just on sustainability and conservation. Like there were people on the left who didn't agree with immigration. But today we have this culture that says you just have to pick a side. So if your enemy, Drew Pavlou, is anti-immigration, now you have to not just be anti-Drew, you have to also be like pro-immigration. You have to be like
I think a lot of people are like that.
Infinity migrants. And it's like that on everything. And it's almost like our political culture is being created by a computer because whether it's on something like Trump v. Never Trump or Palestine or anti-Palestine. Yeah. So you can't have a sensible, nuanced position. Everything has to be binary. That's the way computers think, not people. And it really does make you wonder. If you want a conspiracy theory talk, like which we should get onto, like it makes you wonder at some point in the last 10 years, did someone just like flip a switch and is an AI running things now? Because it just does not seem like normal, sensible people are expressing their views like at all. Because you talk to normal people, like no one other than the idiots you see on television are out there saying like, I will die for Palestine, I will die for Israel. Like even in Israel, people aren't saying that. Yeah, even in Israel.
It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. It is amazing.
The live streams of people in bunkers aren't even saying that.
Did you see the amazing one the other day where it was a march to Gaza and it was all these white Western leftists who like basically
I know how good is that?
Oh my god. I gotta get this up. This is so
you gotta get it up. And the memes are fantastic.
The memes are so fucking funny.
It wasn't even the Egyptian government. It's just like ordinary Egyptians showed up.
Ordinary Egyptians did hit them.
It's just dudes like, we got to stop this.
There were police. Oh my god, dude!
Arguing me, this man's wearing a Palestinian ring. They are all Muslim. This is a genocide of a Muslim people by Zionists.
They can't hear you. They're not.
No.
We've got a comment by Lenny, by the way. Mr. MacGowan appears too sensible for his haircut. When he has a trim ahead of his swearing true allegiance to the king, will he lean toward a more Paul Manafort or Roger Stone styling? That's a great question.
Manafort. Well, Shane has no hair, and Manafort was losing it last time I saw him. So I'm leaving it out, man. It's Tasmania. This is actually one of the more conservative haircuts in the Tasmanian Parliament.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
There's some wild heads down here. So
and by the way, guys, we've got 60 people watching live. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Please remember to subscribe and leave a like on the YouTube channel. Leave a like on the YouTube stream. YouTube will then recommend us to more people. But yeah, let's. Oh my god, this was just so amazing because it was basically like white lefties go to an Arab country, and they're basically
I love this video.
And they don't realize that Egypt is basically a police state, and they've got like the Muhabarat, and the Muhabarat are fucking scary. Dude. They've tortured Western activists before. They've killed Western activists, and so all these white leftists like go to Egypt, and then they're like screaming at the Muhabarat, and like the right police going like, "Join us in the jihad!" And it's just like fucking so mental.
They can't hear you.
Actually, I think I posted it. I'll find it where I posted it.
I've only seen like the 1.5-minute clip where they start throwing rocks at them.
Oh, okay. You haven't seen this one.
Where is your heart?
This one. This one.
Where is your heart?
I believe that the people of the Arabic nations have a white heart. I believe you are good people.
Look at that guy. Look at
them.
The security guy. Look at him. He's literally doing the eye roll. It's amazing.
People.
I thought he was Irish. So I said Irish, and then everyone was saying, no.
Someone's like, he's Welsh. No, he's Welsh.
Yeah.
They are starving children.
It's just so deranged.
I tried to feed these children, and they shot at me.
And the other thing is like these Egyptian police are saving these guys' lives. Like they're gonna.
I know, dude. I know. What the fuck do they think? I don't understand this whole Greta thing where they're like, we're gonna walk into Gaza. Like it's a fucking war, guys. It's so. Oh my god, man. Greta is so. Greta had an amazing take the other day. Let me show you this Greta take. This was fucking amazing. Where's Greta? Hang on. Greta had a beautiful take. Where's the Greta take? Said something about it being capitalism and racism, and I just thought it was really deep. Here it is.
Why do you think so?
I love Greta, dude. I love Greta. Okay, let's watch it.
So many countries, governments around the world are just.
We didn't get to the Welsh part, but he says Palestine because he was trying to like use.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Drew saying this as if you don't routinely stroll into war zones for no discernible reason at all. But here's the thing, though. I know it could be. I know someone might say, "Oh, that's hypocritical because you went to Ukraine." But that said, though, it's not like I went straight into a fucking trench, right? Like I didn't go to the zero line.
And also,
that's
Ukraine. Gaza is like, what is it, like 25 square kilometers or something? Like you can go to Ukraine.
It's just so different, dude.
It's a huge country. It's bigger than
Ukraine's a huge country. You can be in parts of Ukraine that are so far from the war, right? And even when I went up close to the front line, I think the closest I ever got, like by bird, by the way the bird flies, would be Kherson, where it was literally just across the river. So I think I was 500 meters back from the river, and the river's basically the zero line. But that said, though, like the Russians were across the Dnipro, which is like a 500 meter wide river. But the closest I got on land was in the Donbass. And I was still 10 Ks back, right? Like I didn't go up to the zero line. I think the equivalent would be if I was going up to the zero line and like fucking annoying the soldiers and stuff. And it's just dumb because it's like you're actually making work for the soldiers, like
demanding to fly a drone.
Yeah.
Do they let you fly the drones? Like
they didn't let me. I actually got into a drone bunker. It was really interesting. I can't wait to put the YouTube up, but we've got to like censor all the faces. But look at this.
Many countries, governments around the world are just ignoring what is happening in Gaza.
Because of racism, that's the simple answer, I would say.
So true.
Racism and basically desperately trying to defend a destructive, deadly system that systematically puts short-term economic profit and to maximize geopolitical power over the well-being of humans and the planet.
Well said, Greta.
And right now, it's very, very difficult.
So, war in the Middle East is because of racism and capitalism. So deep.
I love
I don't think anyone's
like. We're all ignoring it as if it isn't on television.
It's every day. It's like the only thing.
Day.
Like you know what's funny, John? People try to call me a hypocrite, but the truth is my views actually change. Because what happened is like people go like, "Oh, Drew, you used to be a disruptive activist, and then Israel pays you, and then you stopped being a disruptive activist." It's like, no, dude. It's like I learned the hard way that like disrupting shit makes everyone hate you, dude. I disrupted the Wimbledon final, and no one. I disrupted the Wimbledon final for like Peng Shuai, right? And no one cared. No one cared. It didn't help Peng Shuai. Like they threw me down the flight of stairs. I got attacked. Yeah. I got thrown. Let me find it. I literally got
the blank piece of paper. Remember the blank piece of paper one?
I got a 30K fine. Yeah. I got a 30K fine for
yeah.
I got raped. I got fucking destroyed. Like, it doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Like that's why I've literally tried to. I'm trying to. Wage
when you listen to Greta Thunberg talk, like I think like she's got that like neurodivergent obsession with like late 1990s like resistance activism. Like she would be doing Occupy Wall Street. I reckon that's what kind of got her brain where it is. I think she just got obsessed with that stuff.
Julian says Drew introspection moment. And look, maybe I can actually relate a little bit to Greta in the sense that like I probably get like a bit of like for me China was a bit of an autistic fixation, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like look, the difference is like I went through my activism phase. I literally got fucking thrown into a prison cell, accused of being a terrorist. I got like thrown backwards down a flight of stairs in fucking London at the Wimbledon. I gotta find this. I gotta find the clip of me getting fucking thrown down Drew Pavlou Wimbledon. I got fucking owned, they literally had me in
that alternative media watcher guy. He probably has like every photo of anyone being violent to you.
Yeah. Here it is. Hang on. I think I've got it. Oh, alt media watch is fucking amazing. I got owned. I got decked. So they threw me down the flight of steps right after this. And then a couple
I
of days
loved
later,
that though, because
that was fun.
Tennis fans are the worst people. Like if someone tells me they're getting excited to go to the tennis, like that's a signifier that you have problems. It's
really funny because
I've never understood people who sit there. And
Nick Kyrgios like looked up. I actually didn't try to disrupt it. The truth is that I just wanted to hold the sign for like a couple seconds, and as soon as I got the sign out of my pocket, I put it in my RM Williams boot, and I got it out of my boot. I got up and just held the sign, wasn't saying anything. And then they just crash tackled me straight away. And then at that point I was like, oh, well, I flew all this way. I better just chant something while I'm getting bundled out. Yeah. But like, I guess my whole point is like, and then right after this happened, they put me in a prison cell in London for 24 hours as a terrorist suspect because I got swatted by China. So it's like, I went through my annoying disruptive activist phase. And it's like,
it doesn't work.
A lot of the time, it doesn't work. Do you remember when the Palestine activists in Melbourne were, this was my favorite one, when they did the Christmas windows thing? Where they that was just like, what the fuck were they thinking? So it was like the Maya Christmas window display. Oh, this is amazing. So like the kids go there every year to like Greta. There's a great comment here. Greta, you changed. Drew, we're supposed to. Dude, like every single year, the kids. It's like a family tradition. Everyone goes to the Maya department store, just like enjoys the Christmas lights, and then they were like going there and just like screaming at the kids and stuff. It's like, what the fuck were they thinking?
You're two kids in Palestine.
Like, who the fuck does that, dude, at a fucking Christmas window display? It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So I literally had to learn the hard way, man. Like that, this type of activism is fucking dumb. It's just dumb. That's my thinking, right?
And people are switched off from it now. Like, I
don't know. It annoys people a lot.
Because everyone else has kind of got this deep appreciation of irony. And these people have no irony at all. They don't get irony. Like, making jokes makes people listen. Like,
well, these guys there's no humor at all because they're all just I had this thought the other day. Have you noticed that all the Extinction Rebellion protests, all the climate action protests are just dead now? They just don't exist because all those same activists are doing Palestine protests. It literally just switched over.
It's a psyop, right? It's like where are all the BLM protests, right? No, they're doing the no kings, no kings in LA.
Honestly, all the environmental disruptive activists, they all just switch over to Palestine. So
just seamlessly.
So I don't know. I get these right wingers sometimes going like, "Oh, Drew is a gay goy paid by Mossad and stuff like that." It's like, dude, like all the retarded gay race communists love Palestine. Why are you guys supporting it? Like it's gay race communism. Like, that's what it is. I don't understand it.
Well, and also their government is explicitly socialist too. Like that's what they're intending for Palestine. It's going to be the People's Republic of Palestine if they ever get.
I don't know about that. I think Hamas is jihadist. Honestly, I think Hamas would have like a kind of.
Historically, though, the PLA were always left. Like they were always the
PLA. The PLA.
Well, no one has really done a jihadist government for any length of time apart from Iran, and Iran is explicitly a socialist republic. So I think that's the direction they're going to go, because it all comes about in that period, like in the 1970s, where the Americans and the Soviets were funding everyone, and so the Soviets kind of like seeded the meme, and then the Americans kind of created Baathism and that strain of Arab nationalism.
It's crazy,
so what we're really seeing this conflict between two different psychological operations, which is why you should look at psychological operations going on today with extreme concern.
Hang on, you're saying that Baathism was American created. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Like
Arab nationalism is, but who supported them? Who bankrolled them? Right? Who was dropping off all the guns to them? Who was giving them their systems? It was exactly the same as like Operation Gladio.
I thought the Baathists were getting funded by Soviets.
No, the Baathists were fighting Soviets. Remember, Saddam was our guy in the 80s. Saddam,
yes. But the Syrians were Baathists, and they were always pro-Soviet, basically.
Were they? I don't know if anyone really cared about Syria that much, but I think the Baath Party has always been like this explicitly nationalist project. And it has its roots.
When Assad fell, I just said straight up, like, Baathism was the most retarded ideology ever. Like, it just was such a shit. I mean, Assad just turned the country into such a shithole. It's like it was like
really simple, because it was like a simple political view.
Syrian Baathism in particular was like a mix of like retarded socialism with like price controls and everything, mixed with like Syrian neo-Nazism sort of thing, with like Alawite dominance. It was like a very weird syncretic psycho ideology, to be honest.
Yeah, and I have this like kind of schizo theory of my own that there's an element of political systems that like lives in your bloodstream, right? And that's why, like, you know, democracy.
Sorry, say again. Like, what element of what? Sorry.
You know, there's an element of like the success of a political system kind of lives in a people's bloodstream, that you have to have like an ancestral kind of element to your political system. It's why Anglo-Saxons have democracy, because, you know, elements of democracy are born back in, you know,
does go back
Viking
like
things and things, right? It's why you embrace democracy, because you're Greek, right? But for Arabs, they're not naturally democratic people. They're not naturally socialistic people. They're not naturally nationalists. These are people who have only ever thrived under a caliphate. And the best, most moderate alternative to that is what you have in Jordan and what you have in Saudi Arabia. They need a king, right? Palestine needs a king. That's the only way you're going to get
honestly
peace in that region.
Look, it's hard for me to say that because I'm a Democrat at the end of the day, like a small Democrat, right? But not like Democratic Party, but like Democrat. But if it probably would be way less radical than than what has come up through the Palestinian nationalist ranks. Because at the moment it's like PFLP, which is a Marxist-Leninist organization, and then it's Hamas, which is jihadist, and then it's like the PLO, which is like historically kind of like third worldist socialism. So it's like they don't really have
that kind of Libyan strain of
the weird strain. So they don't really have any normal political moves, and I think that is like a big reason why like the Palestinian cause has struggled so much, because like
there are like three, if you want to like talk about it in Crusader Kings terms, there's like three good claims on the Kingdom of Jerusalem right now. King Abdul in Jordan has a claim on the Kingdom of Jerusalem given to him by the mullahs of Turkey. He could be the king. We could just say, you know what, it's done. Iran stopped shooting missiles. King of Israel, his daughter's gonna marry Baron Trump, and then we're gonna have we're gonna fix it that way.
To be honest, though, Jordan actually is really well run compared to like fucking.
Oh yeah, those places are awesome. I love all those countries. Like
Kunle Drukpa has some really good takes on this, where it's like I think I said something recently about the Queen of Jordan as well. Have a look at this. Right, this is a good point. I think this is a good point. I want to raise this really quickly with everybody. Hang on, where's this? Look at this, right?
How do you say his name? I've never actually known. Kunle Drukpa?
Yeah, Kunle Drukpa. It's so good because it's after a Tibetan Buddhist saint who infamously, like, his way of enlightening people was to have sex with women. He's goated. So he was literally known as like the wandering sex saint who like literally went around just having sex with hundreds of women, and then that's how and then he was going around going like, guys, don't worry, that's how I'm enlightening everyone. I was actually in an Uber the other day. Oh, this was like a year ago. I was in an Uber, and the driver was Bhutanese, and he had like a phallic symbol hanging from like the thing, and it turns out that's a huge thing in Bhutan. I'll show you this quickly. Because it links to Kunli Drukpa. So his symbol is the phallus.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay.
This is a real thing. Yeah. So it's phallus.
I used to draw those on my school books.
Yeah. Phallus paintings in Bhutan are esoteric symbols which have their origins in the Chimi Lakhang monastery near Punakha, the former capital of Bhutan. And then the village monastery was built in honor of Drukpa Kunli. It's so cool. He's known as the Mad Monk. The Mad Monk. Wow. Yeah, it's such a cool story. Because of his power to awaken.
You're going to get demonetized now for posting that dick.
Look at this, though. Look at this. Kunli's penis is referred to as the thunderbolt of flaming wisdom, and he's himself known as the fertility saint. So I actually had a Bhutanese driver who just had like that in his card. I was like, okay, that's interesting. But
I wonder if he endorsed my candidacy.
Yeah, that'd be good, dude. Honestly, I've actually talked to Drukpa Kunli a little bit on Twitter before. Let me see if he can endorse you, because it'd be so.
No, I meant the guy with the flaming phallus of wisdom.
Oh yes. Julian says this: half of Drew's ideology is from interacting with minority Uber drivers. I actually fucking love talking to minority Uber drivers. I just ask them questions about their country. It's so interesting. But look at this, right? Islamic culture in Jordan v. Islamic culture in Britain. So this is like the lovely queen of Jordan, Rania. So sophisticated, elegant. She wears a veil, but she does it in such a sophisticated and elegant way. And then it's like, this was like a painting they put up in like the Whitechapel station in Britain, where like they've literally got like not even just the hijab, but like the full Taliban style burqa. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Like Britain is literally British Muslims are more fundamentalist than Islamic people in Jordan. Literally the Queen of Jordan.
But I mean, this is always the way with all cultures, though, right? Like your elites are always like pretty cool about things and pretty relaxed, and then because everyone just gets kept in line with fundamentalism. I mean, the average British person in the late 18th century was just an absolute degenerate, but the kings were pretty cool. Like the royal household was very elegant, but the British people are descended from like bog merchants and stuff. Like that's kind of always been the way with all cultures. Like.
Yeah. True, that's funny. What was I going to say?
The British are now not going to vote for me.
That's epic.
I stand by my bog merchant comment.
That's a cool one. Britain is such a bad situation though, where like you literally will have.
It's bad, man. It's super bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
I don't even know how I'm going to get back out of it at this point. Like, I mean, I could see a way forward for Tasmania's budget. I can't see a way forward for London.
You know, this is why someone called me far right. Someone tried to edit my Wikipedia to call me far right and say that I was promoting.
I saw that. Yeah.
Because what happened, right, was I think it was a Reform candidate, and I think it was basically asked like, oh, how would you feel if like English people were a minority in England in like 20 years. And he just said something like really dumb where he was like, oh, I wouldn't care because I'll be dead then. And I just
oh yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
And listen, I just said like, listen, at the end of the day, like I identify more as a progressive, a social democrat and everything, but I still don't think that English people should be in a minority in England. And just for that reason, people started going like, Drew's a great replacement theory guy and everything. And like, I just said like, we could still have my take's actually really normie and moderate. I say we should just look at what Singapore does, where Singapore has multiculturalism, they have diversity, but they actually just keep the demographics relatively stable. Like they try and avoid.
And they have that really cool thing where they can change race. Have you seen this?
I don't know about that one, but
no, have you ever heard of this? So Singaporeans, like it's actually a big deal. So it's actually on your driver's license in Singapore, and it has to say what race you are, but you're allowed to change it like once. Like some races, like I think actually Eurasians aren't allowed to change theirs, but yeah,
So in Singapore, like despite the fact that they do have mass migration, or maybe not mass migration, but they have migration. The actual demographics in the country have just stayed really stable, and they do that as a pragmatic thing to avoid like social conflict. And my whole thing is like. My whole thing is like we can have. I like diversity. Obviously, dude, we're both half. Like you're half Greek, I'm Greek.
Yeah.
Obviously, under like the old policy, like I wouldn't have been in. So of course, I still favor a little bit of multiculturalism and diversity and everything. I'm certainly not. I've tried to explain this. I'm not like a Aryan super state chud, right? Who talks about like 100% genetic purity and stuff. That's not what I'm interested in. All I'm saying is like we can have
pills.
But all I'm saying is like we can have multiculturalism, but like let's just keep the demographics relatively stable to avoid like social conflict. Because like if you look at England right now, where like there's now discourse in England where they're like, oh, in 30 years, English people might be a minority in England. Like that's not going to produce good outcomes. It's going to lead to social conflict.
The reason why everyone gets so worked up about this, though, is because it's only for the last decade, maybe decade and a half, that you've had the main reason for having immigration to be economic growth. Right? It didn't used to be the way you used to do it. Like if you go back to like the waves of immigration in Australia, like the ones our parents or my grandparents and yours came out.
Yeah.
From, I mean, it wasn't so much economic growth; it was labor. That was it. So we had when my grandfather came out and worked on the Snowy Hydro project. So you have like something they can come out and work on. You had a labor force there. It was really easy to get them here. It was actually like barely 10 days from, I think, with the last port is like Yemen for the Greeks.
Yeah.
So it was easy to get them out here. They only brought out between 1947 and 1950. Like they barely brought out 15,000.
It's a small rate.
Those are the initial numbers. You know, if you look at Australia's like thriving Vietnamese community, they came out here off the back of like the initial like Fraser's initial wave of migrants. It's like 8,000. Right, 3,000 to begin with, and then 8,000, and then they dribbled in over the years.
See, the Vietnamese community is actually a really good example here of great integration, and I actually use that against like the full NSN Aryan like superstate chuds, where like I'm like, dude, like Vietnamese community is really beautifully integrated into Australian society. Everybody loves like the Balinese and everything. We lose the argument with those guys though, is because you can just go back and point to the fact that they brought out 3,000 refugees, then 5,000, then another 3,000. Then we let them bring out their families, and then they get up to a really moderate, like what's their total right now? Like it's like 1% of the Australian population, but it's a really small number,
which is fine. But that kind of proves the point on mass migration now, where we weren't bringing those guys out because we really needed amazing banh mi. We were bringing those guys out because of the disaster that was the end of the Vietnam War, and we felt a degree of responsibility to our former allies who just.
You know what's funny? I actually have a Vietnamese Labor supporter friend who was saying like he fucking hates Gough Whitlam because Gough Whitlam didn't want the Vietnamese to come to Australia because he was like, oh, they're going to be like the Balts. He had a derogatory term for the Baltic Australians, like he'd call them the Balts, call them all Nazis, like the tanky view, where like they basically looked down on anybody who didn't accept social.
Well, that's big, but that's also because like at that point, that was when that wave of like Eastern Eurozone and Baltic immigrants came out who were extremely right wing.
Yeah, and he didn't like that.
The guys like Lienko who founded the Liberal Party had come out in that wave, and Gough Whitlam.
Can you tell us that actually? Can you tell us about that guy? There's that crazy. Was it Lienko? I think you've told me about it before, but it was like the guy who found like the really hard right faction of the Liberal Party or something like that.
Because like when like the guys on Sky News start bitching and moaning about the Liberal Party needs to go back to its roots as a right wing party. The Liberal Party was never a right wing party. The Liberal Party was always a party of effeminate doctors and lawyers and accountants. Like what happened in the late 1970s was you had and there were Muslims in there. Like you had a lot of like Georgian and like Caucasus region Muslims came out. You had a lot of like Turkish Christians, Slovenians, all these people from Eastern Europe who came out and were like staunchly right wing. Lienko was in the Ustashi, like he wore the uniform.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I'm going to put this on the screen.
Yeah, and when they came out, they were looking for a political home. And they joined the Liberal Party because the Liberal Party was the anti-communist party. And they were concerned about the communist influence in the Labor Party. And so, Lienko effectively founded the hard right of the Liberals.
They call him the man who invented ethnic branch stacking in Australia.
Yeah. Because he literally just stacked these guys into branches. He took over most of the inner west of Sydney. His power base was around Drummoyne.
What was the actual outcome though of what he did? Like as a result of those types of stacks, who did he get into the party and how did he change it?
He did not get. The only person he ever got into Parliament was David Clark.
So he got one guy.
He got one guy, and the only guy David Clark ever got into Parliament was Alex Hawke. And look at how that worked out.
Holy fuck! That's really interesting. So there's a direct line from like literal Nazi guy to Alex Hawke, who's just
Alex disavowed him. To be fair to Alex, he disavowed these guys, and the whole reason he started the centre right of the Liberal Party was because he kind of fundamentally disagreed with what used to be called the Uglies faction, that then later became called the Taliban. Alex thought, well, we can do this in a more sensible way, and so he split with them. But Lienko didn't live. I mean, actually, that's not true. Lienko died in 2008. and the hard right only took over the party for 12 months in 2006.
And what?
By which time?
It's really funny.
I remember.
I've had an experience with like, because I had that friend Wilson in Brisbane. I had experience with like those sort of like right wing guys and liberals who like were always kind of trying to stack out the party, and we had a joke where like they would always go like, bro, just one more stack, we're so close, bro, we're so close, like we're about to make the liberals really base, bro, and then like nothing ever really changes. It's interesting.
I used to get really frustrated with them. I'm like, I think people know I worked for these guys for like 15 years of my life, and I used to get enormously frustrated because I'd say, well, hang on, what are we going to do when we got all these stacks? Like, what's the end game? So it's like the underpants gnome sketch from South Park. It's like step 1, stack branches. Step 2, step 3, take over Australia. Like they never really had a plan beyond stacking the branches. The hard right took over the Liberal Party in 2006, and then Lienko dies 2 years later, and then they lose the 2007 state and federal elections. The whole thing falls apart. And then the moderates take over, and the moderates have been in control in New South Wales ever since. I mean, everything you see on the ABC about the hard right of the Liberal Party is bullshit. None of these guys are hard right. Like,
well, that's the interesting thing. Like, you know what's interesting? Like, Dutton was caricatured as hard right, but the reality is, like, I saw all the hard right guys on Twitter fucking hated him. So can you?
Everyone hated. Yeah, man, I was in a room. This is a true story. I was in a room when they were doing those numbers, and David, it was the last big kind of decision of the right faction of the Liberal Party that David Clark was involved in before he retired. Right, and like they were sitting there, and like the options were like Scott Morrison, Peter Dutton, and I can't remember who else was on the table. I think like they were even talking about Julie Bishop or someone at one point.
Julie Bishop would be such a disaster.
Yeah. It was like there was all these crazy ideas, but like I remember like Clark just like banging the table, saying no, a Queensland cop Freemason will not be leader of the Liberal Party.
Was he actually a Freemason?
Well, no, but in the right of the Liberal Party, you just assume all cops are Freemasons.
Why? Why is that?
I don't know. It's just a thing. Well, it goes back to like the early days of like, 1980s special branch politics where, cops were Freemasons and, everyone else was a Catholic. And so like never the twain shall meet. Right, so like the rock choppers, like the BA Santa Maria people like David Clark and Lienko, like hated cops and they hated Masons.
Wait, out of interest, was there any... Did Santa Maria and Lienko ever come together or work together?
So apparently they only ever met once. And it was like, they were like fans of each other and we know that because when Lienko's papers, because we had a bunch of Lienko's papers after he died.
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. That's pretty fucked up, to be honest. Like, so he was basically saying like all Jews are evil during the Holocaust while he was a Nazi clever. Like that's pretty
This was one of the most powerful guys in the Liberal Party for a solid decade.
Really? So but why was he, how come he didn't get like cancelled or anything?
Well, he did eventually, and eventually they kicked him off state executive over the Ustashi allegations.
So that's the uglies.
But he defended himself on them, and like even I remember when he was trying to rehabilitate his image in like 2004, like right at the end, even the ABC were admitting like, some of the Ustashi stuff wasn't exactly sound. This Wikipedia page, by the way, is edited by a guy. If you scroll down to the bottom, and look at the references, the guy who wrote the book about him, Ian.
There's a book about him. I want to read this. This is interesting.
No, it's not strictly about him. It was written by actually a contemporary of Tim Anderson, a guy from University of Sydney. It's not on there. But damn. It's like one of his detractors wrote a book about him. Basically.
What did he actually work in? Like, what did he do to make a living?
That is a very good question that few of us ever got a straight answer to.
Because did he just do full politics?
He did politics full time. He was a draftsman by trade. Like a drawer, like he used to draw like advertisements and stuff in the 1950s, and he was a sculptor. And I understand, like when you went to his house, he had like all these angel, like winged angel, like marble type statue casts, and I think he made a bit of money for like funerary objects, like things that go on your things that go on headstones.
I have to be honest, John. This guy seems really fucking scary to me. Like, but like,
you know what? He was actually. I met him a couple of times right when I came to Sydney in like 2006. And
what did he say about World War II? Like, did he ever regret it? Like,
It was funny because like the only time you'd ever hear him talk about it was like when young Liberals would go over to his train because he lived in a train carriage.
He would have been. I lived in a train carriage. Fuck, that's scary. So he was 20 years old when this all happened, basically. Or like,
He and so like young Libs would go over there and like want to hear like the war stories and stuff, and he would never really would never really go into any detail on it because at the time it was kind of coming off the back of the coverage where he was saying, well, yeah, no, I never wore the uniform. I was never really into it. But yeah, so no one really knows what he got up to. Very interesting guy. Like his he wrote a newsletter for many years called Challenge, and like the entire archive of it is kept in the New South Wales State Library. You can go to the Dixon periodical collection, and it's all in there. They've never digitized it because it's all like printed out on like really bad carbon paper. That
so this a lot is of it was here. This is Hansard, and this is where they say somebody read it out, Paul Lynch or something like that. Wow, and
Lynch hated, because Lynch was one of the like original thirds.
Who was he?
Like he was like a hard Labor left man, very
hard Labor left, right? This is interesting. Were there any like I don't know, like before the stuff got in the media and stuff like that? Like, was he mainstream in Australian politics? Like, were there like Labor people who'd have a beer with him, sort of thing? Like, no, he's always,
no. Like, and there weren't even like Liberal people who would. Like, he was just like a dark presence in the Liberal Party.
Right.
He'd go to bench meetings and like sit up the back. He wasn't like a friendly person to his political opponents. Like,
dude, it's crazy that I'm actually shocked that there's a direct line where it's like Lienko, David Clark, Alex Hawke. That's fucking great because like Alex Hawke, I'm pretty sure Hawke's isn't Hawke a wet in the party or like is kind of
Hawke is the founder of the centre right faction, so
right? Like the Morrison faction.
Yeah, so he's which is also Susan Lay's faction. So there's almost like you can draw a direct line from like Lienko Abancic all the way to Susan Lay.
Well, Susan Lay changed her name to the two S's, man. Suzanne Lay.
Apparently that story is bullshit too. I've heard.
She came out in the media and she tried to say, it wasn't actually over numerology. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Who knows? Now she's saying it's part of her punk stage, which also implies
that's worse, dude. If she changed her name,
lightning bolts.
If she had a punk stage and she changed her name to two S's with lightning bolts, that's worse, dude. That's actually worse. Well, I wonder if she ever had a contact with Lienko.
I doubt it. I don't think she would have even been in the party when he was around.
Yeah. Tell us about like what's the state of like the Liberals in Australia? Like, and
I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't really talk to a lot of the guys anymore, or rather, they can go to prison for talking to me, but politics prison.
Can I ask you as well about just like the general state of like the kind of far right in Australia? Because I don't know, I'm not going to try cancel you or anything, John. I don't know. Would you say? I think you've described yourself as far right before, have you? Or like?
I openly describe myself as radical right. Yeah.
Okay.
Far right, well, I'm definitely a part of Australia's radical right background.
Right. So. And obviously I'm going to get cancelled. But anyway, I'm wondering, like, what's the state of the radical right then in Australia then? Like, and I wanted to ask you, right? The interesting thing is, I saw somebody say this the other day. I think it was actually, it was one of the lefty anti-fascist guys, Tom Tanuki. But I think Tom Tanuki's basically said National Social Network, in his view, is the most effective neo-Nazi group organized in the world today. Do you think that's true?
Well, I think they're probably the only organized neo-Nazi group in the world today. So, I think the big question is how sincere are these guys on neo-Nazism? That's going to be the big question to define.
You mean about Sewell and Joel Davis and shit?
Yeah, which is going to define far-right politics in our country for the next few years. Is are these guys like are they sitting around really going, yeah, we're going to do it, guys. We're going to do the Fourth Reich. Like,
that's what they say though. Like I've seen, but they've got the Nordic runes on. They have the Nordic runes on their speaker. They've got. I mean, this is the funny thing. You're probably going to get cancelled by the radical right for even talking to me because they hate me. They go Drew the Jew, blah blah. Drew.
No, I don't think they hate you. I think
I fought with them pretty harshly.
But that's the thing about our side of politics, right? Is we're a lot more like well, people like me at least are more willing to engage with people who don't necessarily share all our views. And I've always found with online with those guys, like they're always willing to do it as well.
Well, you know what's funny? I've tried to have a couple socialists on the podcast, on the show to have debates. And
Swindon's already telling me to stop platforming.
Right? Yeah. I had
I'm actually platforming you.
Yeah, it's so true. Someone said you're our favorite Greek. Okay, well, it's funny because I think about 12 months ago, before like they used to call me like Turkish whatever. Anyway, how did it start? I was gonna say I remember with I've tried to have socialists on the show to debate them. I invited like fucking Purple Pingers on, refuses. That's it. Every single right winger that I've asked to come on the show has come on like straight away. Even fucking Alex Jones. Like it's kind of crazy, dude.
But the reason for that is like these guys, and this is the thing where I think the left get themselves in a lot of trouble.
It is dumb. It is stupid.
Is because like these guys are incredibly well read. Like I think,
you mean the right winger or the left wingers?
The right wingers, like
some of them are. Some of them are.
Some like I think the big names certainly are. I mean, look, I just think like the big question that's going to come to a head, I think in the next few years, is their political project just really about being a Nazi, or is it, as I often suspect it is, like if you go back to when like they had Lad Society and the gym.
Well, they started off as They used to. So Thomas Sewell and Blair Cottrell about 10 years ago, they'd probably be where Tommy Robinson is now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like where it's like right, but it's not like Hitlerist at all. Back then they weren't.
But what happened to them was like they have this kind of like, boyish innocence. Like they're just, having these like gym clubs and, posting memes and stuff and seeing what's happening with the alt-right in the US. And then the Victorian, and it's a uniquely Victorian phenomenon, right? So you don't have this in Queensland. We didn't have it in New South Wales, and I've not seen any evidence of it in Tasmania. Is that like in Victoria, when they started doing that, there was just like this like cascade of like legal vitriol on them. And the media and everyone calling them Nazis. And so they've gone, well, fuck it. Like, if everyone's going to call us a Nazi, I'm just going to be a Nazi.
So your take would be that they actually got radicalized by like the lawfare against.
I think absolutely they got radicalized by the Victorian media. Like
I've seen Thomas Sewell say that before. But the thing is, though,
the thing is, seriously, if you talk to a lot of the guys in this scene, like behind the scenes, a lot of them express the same views. But everyone knows it's not the way you're going to achieve any social change, because and in every other state, we know that there is a chance for social change. Like there's this hope. And I always say, like people, whenever anyone brings up like, whether it's my online association with them or my, policy sympathies for them, I always say, look, at the end of the day, if you're putting your hand up for politics, you can't be a Nazi. Like it doesn't matter who you post a photo of me with or who I've had a conversation with, because at the end of the day, it's a movement that rejects a political solution. So the second any of these guys, as far as I'm concerned,
I said this in my debate to Joel Davis, but I said it kind of is like white ISIS in a way. It sort of is like white jihadism. And
that's a really good, accurate kind of summary. It's the last stop. It's the last stop on the road.
I was playing Hoi 4.
It's the end zone.
I was playing Hoi 4 the other day, and one of the quotes came up on the loading screen, and it was I'm not sure who it was. Maybe I think it was Goering. I think it was Goebbels. But he was saying to the Nazi troops, like, are you ready for a total war that is more radical and pure than any war before? And I was thinking to myself, I read that, and I was like, that sounds like fucking ISIS. That literally sounds like fucking jihad to me. That's the crazy thing. And there's stuff in Hitler's table talk books where he was saying, Islam would have been a better religion for the Germans because it's the religion of the sword and stuff. He really didn't like Christianity. He thought Christianity was like a Jewish invention and plot. And stuff.
Well, I don't think that's strictly true. I mean, there's some interesting stuff that happens around like Albert Rosenberg's Myth of the 20th Century that came around the same time as Mein Kampf. And like he is like virulently anti-Christian through that whole book. And it was a bestseller. At one point, it was selling more copies than Mein Kampf. And Hitler kind of turns on him. And you're like, well, he doesn't censor the book. He kind of ejects Rosenberg. It's called Myth of the 20th Century.
Right.
And so he kind of like ejects Rosenberg from his inner circle. And the whole reason was the realpolitik behind, well, like he needed the churches. Like he needed the Bavarian Catholic churches. He needed these like Protestant churches.
I think it's interesting because I think you can look at studies of the NSDAP vote where like wherever there was like a strong Catholic presence, they did pretty badly.
Yeah.
And I think and they actually they had a direct fight with the church where one of the popes put out an encyclical saying that they were anti-Christian. It's interesting. I think it was realpolitik where I think Hitler, like he kept on saying that basically like, if they won, then he would love to fucking smash Christianity and stuff like that. But it was kind of like
of course he didn't win. And like that's a big fact. It's a big factor why he didn't win.
And Stalin brought back, like even Stalin, for example, brought back the Orthodox Church briefly during World War II as a morale thing.
Yeah.
It's like if they had won, they probably would have cracked down on Christianity really harshly.
Yeah. And then both sides realized it was a dumb idea. Actually, we were talking about this on my feed today because someone made a comparison because I have very intellectual followers, and so someone compared me to Professor Volan from The Master and Margarita, which is a famous.
Oh, great book! I've got that book.
Yeah, famous Soviet book, and that's essentially what that's about. It's about like this criticism of the staunch atheism of the Soviet Union, and it's not long after that book comes out that actually they do start loosening it up, and they do kind of say, well, we do have to have religion, we have to have pluralism, which of course today we've completely lost.
They loosened it up slightly, and that's how you got people like Kirill, who's now the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, who literally was a KGB asset back then. Like they kind of let some priests operate as long as they reported to the authorities, and
sadly, it's just not that important today. I mean, I really do think, with all the troubles going on in the world, like the Catholic Church should probably be the biggest force for peace in the Middle East. But we can't do that. I mean, we've got a new pope, and he hasn't said anything about Gaza, or maybe Israel should stop shooting like R9X Hellfire rockets into civilian buildings, which might help calm things down a little bit.
What was I going to say? So your thing is like you're wondering like whether they actually believe the Hitler stuff. I don't know. Like
I don't know. Look, I mean, I think it's one of those things where like Hitlerism in general, and I think you're better off calling it what these guys do, Hitlerism, than National Socialism per se. Like it's such a meme of an ideology that
it's just retarded.
Like, even if but putting aside like whether it's retarded or not, like it's such a mimetic idea that even if you just start posting on 4chan saying, haha, like, sick Heil, then, it just crawls in there. Like,
well, that's what happened to Kanye. Like, Kanye radicalized himself.
I think it really is like, it's a cognitive hazard. Like,
my honest take is that I think because he's held up as literally the most demonic man of the past century, and in my view, like it actually is justified that comment. But I think some people it's like a sort of antisocial personality thing where like some people are attracted to it because it's so like offensive. And I remember Joel Davis, he had a thing where he was talking about how he started off in Antifa. So I feel like he's probably got a personality that's drawn to extremes. And I feel like a lot of these guys are just I feel like a lot of these guys like shop around for. Like, for example, Bad Empanada. Bad Empanada, like, he's a tanky or whatever. But I could easily see Bad Empanada being a National Socialist.
Oh, yeah. I think many of these guys could flip back and forth. Like
that's it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because it's the culture that they're looking for. It's the culture. It's the culture of protest, or it's the culture of rebellion. It's like, if everyone woke up tomorrow and we were living in a socialist utopia, these guys would become Nazis because the transgression isn't there for them.
But I guess that's what happened with some of the punks and stuff. I guess back in the after World War II. But I was going to say I think I once said, I think I might have even said this in my debate with Joel Davis, but I actually said, like, if we actually had a National Socialist Society, he probably would literally be a communist revolutionary. He's probably just someone who's attracted to whatever is the majority ideology sort of thing.
I don't know, but I think he's just one of those people who really overthinks things. Like, I mean, he has a really, and I only found this out from, I met Joel, but I didn't know this until.
Well, I met him in person when I did my debate, and he was pretty scary in person, but.
No, I think he's a nice guy. I think he's an okay guy.
He was threatening to bash me a couple times, but like, but yeah. Anyway, going on. Yeah.
Anyway, like, I guess I am kind of like 2 feet taller than you. But I didn't realize this. But he like went to London and like, studied philosophy with like. I don't think they were like the CCRU.
He started.
Guys, but
I've learned about this. I know from somebody that he was really big into like Deleuze and Guattari and shit like that.
Yeah.
He used to be like a philosophy poster all these years ago.
He's really well read. Like,
unfortunately, I hate him, but I hate him in his views, but he is well read. I know that.
I just think his views are something. I just think their political approach is not well thought out. I always say that like they're the best performing arts troupe in Australia. But this is the thing, though, right? Artistic project. It's incredible. They should have come down to Dark Mofo.
But fucking hell,
these guys always want like dangerous ideas and stuff. There's actually an aside on this.
Joel Davis has like a big tattoo of like a wizard or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I accused him of being a Satanist, but.
Yeah, there's a really funny thing happening. There's a funny thing happening in Hobart right now. They're doing like this thing as part of Dark Mofo at the library. It's like one of the those insipid festival of dangerous ideas things.
Oh,
but this is like so dumb. But this is a festival of like
festival of dangerous ideas.
Yeah, except all the books you can just buy at Dimick's. And so I was thinking,
what are the books? Is it like Maya? Is it like are they going off like what's being banned in like Florida? So it's like Maya Angelou and stuff.
Yeah, it's like Lolita and stuff they're talking about.
I've got like half those books on my shelf probably.
Right now in Australia, there are multiple books.
You know, I got 2 Evola books. Obviously I dislike Evola. Obviously I'm against Evola, but I got 2 Evola books. I got them from Wilson.
They're spectacular books.
I've got
that edition of Ride the Tiger. That's a good one.
I actually got them from Wilson when Wilson passed. God bless Wilson.
Australia has banned more books in the last 3 years than we had in the previous 30.
What books? Really? Where do you get the books get banned?
Because the consequence of these so-called hate speech laws. So now Siege, the Turner Diaries, pretty much everything that's been written.
So they can't.
Yeah,
all
David Duke's books. They can't be brought in. They can't be imported.
Really?
So we've banned more books now.
But people can just download the PDF though.
Well, exactly. That's why the whole thing's so redundant.
Yeah,
you've got to wonder why our national government wasted so much time on it.
Someone said you need to be specific about what you disagree with the National Social. Like, of course, like, dude, at the end of the day, they like race war, they like eliminationist, genocidal stuff. I don't like that shit. Of course, I don't like that shit. Like
the challenge with them is like how much
I've got
of that
lots of I've got lots of Jewish friends. Like I like the Semites. I like Jews. I don't get like the whole. You know what? This is an actual thing, John. You're maybe you get cancelled for this, but like. Growing up in Brisbane, there's like 500 Jewish people living in Brisbane or whatever. I don't think I even met a Jewish person until I was 20. So I never even understood anti-Semitism. I never even got it. Like I didn't even know anyone who was Jewish. Yeah. And then when I didn't look, this is how retarded I was. I didn't even know like Jerry Seinfeld was Jewish. Like I grew up, Seinfeld was my favorite show. I didn't even know Seinfeld was Jewish. And then I found out like Seinfeld and Larry David Jewish. I'm like, oh, I like Jewish people. It's as simple as that for me. Like I like Jewish guys. And I don't know, like these guys, they just have this like massive hate thing. I think their reason for hating them is they think that Jews invented communism, but I don't think.
I think it's more just that, again, like back to that like mimetic origin of their ideology. They just think, well, Hitler hated Jews, so we're gonna hate Jews, right?
But it's really
no one stops and thinks like, well, in Australia, the so-called Jewish influence just doesn't exist. I'm sure guys will like rip that in the comments, but I can prove it with.
But this is the thing. Like, I get the comments. I literally get these comments on my Twitter post, and it's like NSN guys going like, "Oh, Drew, you don't understand that like the libelers invented multiculturalism and the Jews invented multiculturalism in Israel and stuff like that." It's like, but dude, if you go to the Jewish community now, like probably if you polled the Jewish community, probably 80% are like close the fucking borders. Like they do not they don't like jihadists in Australia. Like they're not.
Australia has this totally different Jewish community to the rest of the world. I always tell this story. Like I had a client years ago.
Well, we had like Monash, who was like very integrated community, and like Monash is literally our greatest ever general, and he was Jewish. But
the only thing that like Australian Jews kind of like collectively excel at is lobbying for Jews. That's it. Like that's not even but in the sense that.
But here's the thing, though, like
the US does.
Like, this is why I find the whole debate silly though, because like there's a Greek club in Brisbane, and like the Greek club, like the Greeks in Brisbane, like they've got a Greek community association, and like they lobby. Like the purpose of their lobbying is like, oh, can we get government funding to like expand the Orthodox Church? Like I don't know, like every group kind of does this. It's
I guess that's the thing though. Like they don't lobby to say that we should support Greek foreign policy, and that's where people. That is the only thing that these guys really do. I had this client years ago, right, and he was a New Jersey property developer, and like a really big deal New Jersey property developer, like worth a couple of peanuts. And he'd come out to Australia to do a development, and I didn't know where to take him. And there was like this thing on in Sydney, we call it like the Jew Ball. It's a big charity event put on every year by Jewish House, which is a really good charity that doesn't just do Jewish charities, it's a charity for Jews. Like they do like housing developments and stuff for poor people. And so I took him to that. And while we were there, he was like shaking hands with people. Everyone knew him from like TV and stuff. And he came up to me after. He said, "These guys are crazy." And I'm like, well, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Every one of these guys who's influential in this Jewish community, they work for the Australian Jewish Association, for the Board of Deputies. Like but he said in the United States, if you're from an influential Jewish family, and your kid goes to Harvard and comes out and they say, what do you want to do? And they said, well, I want to go work for AIPAC. I want to go work for the Israel lobby. Your parents would disown you. Your parents would say, no, you're going to make money or you're going to your uncle's business. You're going to go do something important. You're not going to go lobby in Washington. That's not a good job. Whereas here, it's the other way around. And like, you look at the way they run, the few guys who've made it out of the Jewish community run their businesses. Like you look at Harry Triggerboff, right? Harry Triggerboff's Meriton is entirely vertically integrated. So when if Harry Triggerboff was in New York, when American apartments needed to be cleaned, there would be a Triggerboff cousin who would go in there and clean that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like that would be the vertical integration. No, Harry owns the whole thing. Security, car parking, the whole thing. No Jews around the world do that. So when they say like about Jewish power in Australia, it's like one guy,
what's funny though?
Like occasionally with one business,
but
they're not spread everywhere.
Oh, because what will happen is like Trigonov, because he runs like a residential development company. He'll like semi-regularly put out a statement going like, yeah, I like mass migration because I've run a residential.
Yeah. And then everyone goes, oh shit, it's it's just one guy. It's literally just one guy.
It's just funny because like, look, my take on this, right, is like, it's a little bit similar to Greeks where it's like, you put 3 Greeks in the room and there's like fucking 4 opinions. And that's my opinion with the Jewish community. Like all my Jewish friends, like I've seen all these guys fighting with each other. There's so many different political factions and stuff like that. I just don't like my own realistic experience, right, is like I've got a couple of Jewish friends, half of them hate each other. They've got different views on everything. Like I don't get this whole like where the fucking global conspiracy shit is. And I don't know, like that's my take. And I know, I know that
it's unimaginative, and I just think a lot of these guys they're being psyoped essentially.
Well, it is, and you know what's funny? Like someone, I saw a take by it might have been like BAP or something like that. So it's like still a far right guy, but I think it was basically someone going like, if you like believe that like Jews are the only historical actors in world history, like you're basically psyoping yourself into just basically being like, I don't know, like just like a submissive. I don't know, like it's kind of like a retarded ideology. Even if you were like a white nationalist identitarian, like have you seen, for example, Nick Fuentes? I think it was a Groyper. Like the Groypers were saying like, oh, you know, the worst thing about the colonization of the Americas was that the Jews did it. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like the other factions of the white nationalists, or other factions of the far right are like, yeah, we love the Spanish American colonization because like we conquered this land. And then like Nick Fuentes is like, no, it was all the Jews. Like it's just like it's a really weird. It from the perspective of a far right guy who like believes in like, you know, dominance and like making your own morale, it's a very funny kind of approach, you know, like to be like everything that ever happened in history was the Jews, the British Empire. I think Nick Fuentes was saying like the British Empire was Jewish. It's like, dude, at a certain point you actually don't believe that whites did anything. I don't know, it's funny.
Yeah. But this is just where our society is now, right? This is where people are at, where, you know, they need a boogeyman for everything and they need an easy explanation and they need 2 sides and one whole side to hate. Like, you know, the reality of human history is there's a lot of sides to hate. Like, you're never going to be just having one group of people.
The version of this on the left is like neoliberalism, right? Like, did you see that one the other day where there were riots in Northern Ireland because a pair of migrant teenagers raped a young girl in Northern Ireland, and there were like race riots in Northern Ireland, and like some leftist Irish rapper who like goes around with a bag on his head was like, first off, it's neoliberalism that caused this. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's like a race riot. Like,
I didn't know who that guy was.
It's ethnic tension. Like ethnic tension exists. It's not just all the product of capitalism. That's why I was making fun of Greta before, where she looks at a war in the Middle East and she's like, yeah, this is like capitalism and neoliberalism. It's like, no, dude, it's like ancient ethnic hatred. It's like, I don't know. It's just really dumb. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, how about we could do a couple more minutes before we have to go. What should we talk about Tasmania maybe before we go? How can people help your campaign?
So tomorrow I'm going to be launching my Facebook page, and everything's going to be on there. So the hold on one sec. I might even have the link already. Actually, if it's not, I'll just be putting it up tomorrow. Basically, it's going to be.
I was going to say, John,
it's going to be a pretty cheap and nasty campaign. Like, we're not going to be spending.
Yeah, that's funny. I was going to quickly say, John. Like the thing that actually woke me up to like how bad like sort of like anti-white genocidal racism is on like, you know, sections of the far left was like literally October 7. That's why I don't understand like why there's all these. You know, I said that. I actually posted something like that. I was like, October 7 woke me up to the fact like a lot of these guys like they're like Israelis have sent the colonizers, Australians have sent the colonizers. The Americans have sent the colonizers, all these sent the colonizers we're going to kill. And I made a post and I was like, yeah, that woke me up to the fact that they like are pretty genocidal. And then I think Carl Benjamin was like, oh, isn't it so bizarre that you only cared when the Jews got attacked? It's like, no, dude, it was just I was fucking young. I didn't realize. And then I realized because I saw October 7 and I saw all these people going like, yeah, we're going to go to Australia and do this too. And that's why I don't understand like why there's this like far right they hate. Like most of the far right hate Jews. It's like Jews are like they're like these days they're very pro-nationalist. They don't want open borders. They don't want to just like, I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny. I think they just basically think that all leftism comes from Jews, but it's not that at all. Like if I look at the leftists that hate Australia the most on Australian university campuses and stuff, it's all white kids. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like if you look at like Curtis Yarvin, I mean, he says like it's the received tradition of Puritanism that is what starts leftism. I mean, it's these guys who come out to the United States in the 17th century, right? The received tradition of universities. Probably.
That kind of Tom Holland kind of said that a bit, where he was he was basically arguing that like a lot of modern woke progressive politics is kind of like secular Christianity. It's like Christianity without redemption.
It's like the public faith of Christopher Dawkins, of Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, like, it's like we're all conceived in sin, but there's no way to get rid of it. You just have to like accept yourself being slaughtered in in a Rwandan genocide type situation. But yeah, like Greta Thunberg on like Hutu Power Radio going like clear out the long grass. That's what's happening basically. Yeah. So let's before we go, let's quickly like bring it back to your campaign in Tasmania. Tell us what your like approach to left-right politics. You call yourself radical right. Like, how does that figure into your Tasmanian campaign?
Look, it just really doesn't. Like, I love state politics. I worked in state politics for most of my career. It's way preferable to whatever the hell the jokers in Canberra are doing. Yeah, it's all about just building stuff and building our services for people. It's about it's kind of the essence of what I guess neo-reactionaryism is, right? Where you just kind of government is a corporation and you're our shareholders. Like it's that kind of attitude. That's what state government is.
Well, that's Curtis Yarvin's whole thing. That's
exactly. And so you don't have to sit there thinking about the left-right dichotomy. You don't have to. Well, you certainly don't have to sit there thinking about immigration. Thank God. And you can actually just sit there thinking about, okay, how am I going to build a stadium? How am I going to fix a bunch of salmon farms? How am I going to fill a bunch of potholes? How am I going to build a new highway? Like you can ask yourself those questions. Yeah, it's the most pure form of Australian government. And we're so lucky to have it here because, when you look at how ineffective and overregulated like state politics is in the United States, we have, our state governments are functionally as powerful as a Commonwealth government. They might not have an army and they might not be able to take tax, but they literally do everything else. So that's why I'm kind of passionate about it. And look, it's going to be a nice break from having to have the big brain thoughts about, politics and.
Is there any way? We never talked about Antarctic hidden truths and stuff like that. How can we work that into Tasmanian politics?
We should do a whole episode on that. But they're getting like radio signals from under the ice.
Really? Explain this to us.
If it turns out that it's Hitler, we're screwed.
Fucking hell. No, but what actually is happening there? Are they actually getting radio signals?
Well,
they found Hyperborea. Yeah, they found Hyperborea.
So found something. There's something down there. So anyway, they announced it the other day, which suggested that it happened a while ago. This actually is like Penn State. Hang on, quickly put this on the screen. It actually is a real thing. Hang on. Strange radio pulses detected coming from ice in Antarctica. Yeah.
Holy fuck!
It's real.
They found Hyperborea.
Yeah.
And Hobart is literally the gateway. Hobart is literally
we're the closest. We're us in Chile. Yeah.
You should actually have that as your campaign motto.
We're all going down there. Like because we're
basically make Tasmania.
We should control it.
Make Tasmania like a world power based on being the gateway to Hyperborea.
Yeah. So we're going to leave the Commonwealth and, just colonize Antarctica. Yeah.
A cosmic particle detector in Antarctica has emitted a series of bizarre signals that defy the current understanding of particle physics, according to the international. My God. It's Hyperborea. They found it.
I read it because usually these things are clickbait and then you click on them and it's like, well, we detected radio signals, but it's probably just a microwave. But this is real. This is like really a thing that's happening. I got to do more reading on it though. I don't quite understand.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Next one we get next. I want to have you on before the election one more time, and that way we should really talk about Antarctica because very essential. The esoteric, and we've got to also discuss your iceberg of Australian conspiracies as well.
Oh yeah, because you know what? Because I'm actually going to get those made as posters soon to raise some money for the campaign because I know everyone loves it.
I'm going to bring that up on the screen really quickly.
I unpinned it. I actually unpinned it off
because that was actually
I'll have to find it for you.
I think that's how I first found your Twitter account. It was such an amazing meme. Do you have a link to it by any chance? I could really quickly put on before we go.
Hold on, I'll find it. It's in my Just search John MacGowan conspiracy iceberg.
Okay, I'll do that.
John MacGowan conspiracy iceberg.
Thanks for giving us so much time on the Drew Pavlis show, sir. It's really
That's all right, man.
Growing. It's certainly growing. Where I found it. Hang on. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put this up on the screen. This will be like our last thing to quickly discuss before you go. Very important. We'll do a whole episode on this. So this is your definitive Australian conspiracy iceberg before you ask they are all real. Okay, and let me zoom in a bit. Oh,
I mean, obviously they're not all real. I think you gotta like save it to.
Yeah. Hang on, I got it. This is AIDS. Hang on, 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it on my PC really quickly. Hang on.
The pics took me like over 9,000 hours in MS Paint. That was all by hand too.
This is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Should we discuss one really quick one?
Just pick one at random and hopeful. Like the middle is probably the most interesting ones. Like the end ones we kind of like made up most of those. A lot of these came from an old
Bjelke Peterson death camps. What's going on there?
Oh, so this is this story that was popularized in I think it was UQ. I think it was like University of Queensland socialist newsletters in the 1980s that Bjelke Peterson had actually been disappearing people, like like Latin American dictator style, and they were constantly accusing him.
They thought that was happening, really.
Anyway, there was a kind of funny ending. Well, it's not a funny ending, but it's like a grim kind of ending to the story. So these university activists were like obsessed with this idea in the 80s that when their friends were going missing, that and like some lecturers went missing and stuff. That Joe Bjelke Peterson kidnapped them and killed them. And then later it turned out that like a lot of them were were guys who got HIV in the 1980s, and they just moved. Like, do you know actually something fascinating and really sad is that like a lot of people with HIV actually moved to Tasmania to live out their final days in the 1980s. But yeah, so they thought they had this like conspiracy theory that's percolated in all these far left magazines. That
I didn't, dude. Can we find one of those magazines? That's fucking amazing. I'll literally go to the state library and find one of them.
There's one called.
What's it called? I'll literally Google it.
They're old.
That sounds amazing. I want to know about that.
It was called like Phenom or something, like as in like phenomenon. I'll try and find you one. I've got.
Yeah. I'll literally go to the state library and make a video on
old
this.
PDFs. Yeah.
One last one. Esoteric Lathenism. I love that idea. Tell us about it.
We made that one up. That's the idea that there's a secret society that esoteric Lathemism is like esoteric Hitlerism. So it's like kind of it's like a kind of yogic practice where you venerate Latham as the reincarnation of Vishnu.
Hang on, let me quickly get this one book.
It's my show now. This is now the John MacGowan show, episode 1. Usually when he gets up to go somewhere, he like doesn't come back for 10 minutes either. Albanese is absolutely a communist phase. He's just there's no denying it. He's a communist. He was an avowed communist at school.
I found it. Sorry. It was hard. This is so fucking powerful, dude. They don't publish this anymore.
Oh, I've got They don't.
Civilizing global capital.
That should be your Bible, dude. That is so absolutely your economic ideology. You should like memorize it, like the Bible, and just start citing passages from it.
Some say that if you read Roberto Bolaño's 2666 and then you read Civilizing Global Capital by Mark Lane, if you read both of those back to back, you actually unlock hidden knowledge that has only been glimpsed very rarely by human beings.
The only time, actually, I don't get blocked that often on Twitter, but like this is like almost 20 years ago, like 10 years ago when Twitter was first starting. And one of the first people to block me on Twitter was actually Thomas Piketty. You know, the guy who did
the French economist.
Yeah. Back when he was on Twitter, I thought it was funny to keep accusing him of plagiarizing Mark Latham. Like, and I would post sections from Civilizing Global Capital. You know, he wrote another one too. There's a sequel to Civilizing Global Capital.
That's so powerful.
As well.
I found it in Archive Signed Books, like literally in a secondhand bookstore. They don't publish it anymore.
Dude, it's really good.
Knowledge.
Like as an economic book, it is fantastic.
I actually really want to get Mark Latham on the show. He's actually a really smart guy.
He's one of the smartest guys in Australian politics.
It's crazy. I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, he had a big falling out with Pauline, right? I mean, but anybody with a brain would, because she just fucking runs.
It was just over money. It was like, I think he would have been happy enough to stick around, and you know, and they could just disagree on some, ideological issues. Like Mark has an ideology, Pauline doesn't. But the issue was that she was taking money from him. Mark had campaigned really hard. He got an amazing primary vote. And then he finds out that he actually signed a contract that says Pauline Hanson and One Nation, or One Nation is Pauline Hanson, gets to keep all the money.
Yeah, it does.
So,
can you clarify this for us, John? Does she just get to actually put the money into her personal account? Because she's made a lot of money of these, and I think part of it is literally just from public funding.
I don't know how they do it. Mark's tried to explain it to me before, but like basically when they spend on the campaign, when they get all the votes back for individual candidates, it all goes back to her. Now, I'm pretty sure
it's $4 per vote.
Yeah, and they're spending less than they're getting back. Yeah. That's the One Nation strategy. They're always spending less than they're getting back. I actually don't know. I guess as being a candidate, I should look that up, but I'm not sure what happens to if you spend more.
You know what?
If you spend less than you make. Yeah.
You know what? I'm literally going to clip up that part of Mark Latham. I'm going to post it. I'm going to ask Mark Latham to come on the Drew Pavlis show. Yeah.
Because he's an incredibly smart guy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, man. I appreciate you a lot, John, for coming on and sharing so much time. I'll have to get you on the Drew Pavlis show one more time before the election. Yeah. And
I'll try and convince your followers to come down and and help me hand out how to vote cards on booths in sunny home.
That actually would be really fun. I would do that, but I'd get cancelled forever. I don't know. Fuck.
We probably both would. Yeah. All right, guys.
You'd lose all your radical right. You'd lose all your radical right cred, and then I'd lose all like centre left cred forever.
I don't know. I think people in Tasmania are pretty moderate. I don't know. We'll find out. I guess we'll find out in.
Yeah. But anyway, John, thank you. Good luck to you, sir, and we'll have you on the show one more time before the election. We'll talk about it.
Brother. See you, chat.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
John is a legend. He's fucking funny, guys. He's fucking funny. Obviously, listen, I do have to say, his politics are a lot more right-wing than mine are, but he is a funny bloke. He's a fucking funny bloke. I think that's just fact-check true. There's so few people in Australian politics who have fucking funny, interesting politics. Dude, Roberto Bolano is such a good writer. Honestly, it's sad. We don't have anyone good in Australian politics. There's no one interesting. One thing I like about John is that he's just actually interesting. Like, he could literally just come up with fake conspiracy theories as a joke, like esoteric Mark Lathanism. Who else could fucking come up with shit like that in Australian politics? No one, because everyone else is boring as fuck. So that's why I like John. I like the fact that John is creative. Like, he's a creative bloke. He can literally just invent ideologies as a joke, like esoteric Lathanism. Funny bloke. He's running. Max is asking me, who's he running for? He's running as an independent in Tasmania for the state election. And to be honest, he actually probably has a good chance of winning, because the state election, I think the quota for getting elected is maybe 3,000, 4,000 votes. So it's really doable. I hope he can do it. Looks like the Australian centre is rising. Fun guess. Yeah, listen, he's much more to the right of me. I'm more centre, I'd say. But look, the Drew Pavlis Show is now the leading premier program for centrist young Greek Australian men with creative, beautiful personalities and beautiful souls within them. If you're a young, sensitive poet, then the Drew Pavlis Show is literally the fucking top show for you. If you're an Australian who likes poetry, let me show you. I've actually got a poetry section in my library. Let me show you this, guys. Oh, fuck, the chords. The chords aren't going to go that long. But see, I've got Les Murray. I've got Benjo Patterson. Les Murray, that's very powerful. I've got Gerald Murnane as well. So this is all just very powerful Australian literature stuff. So I'd say what we're doing here, guys, is we're all young, sensitive young men, and we've got beautiful souls. We've got the souls and hearts of poets, and the mainstream media won't let us come on because we're not Hannah Ferguson. We're not shilling like fucking like vibrators, guys. Guys, if I was a girl selling a vibrator, ABC News would put me on, okay? ABC News would put me on. But otherwise, we have to fucking create our own show. We have to create our own show. Okay? What I predicted, you were getting the Bolano book. I thought you were going to get the novel Nazi Literature in the Americas. Yeah, that's a great book. And you know what's funny? Like, someone like Lysenko that John MacGowan was talking about literally sounds like a character out of Bolano's Nazi Literature in the Americas, which is like a compendium. It's like a compendium of fake characters that Bolano made up, kind of satirizing far-right Latin American politics, but it's so interesting. Bolano is so fucking powerful. I love Bolano. He's literally one of my favorite writers. That's my Latin American section up there, if you can see. That's my Latin American section. Alex Smock says, I get most of my daily news from the Drew Pavlis show. How true this is. How fucking true this is. I'm a young, sensitive Italian Aussie. Yes. No Pushkin. I don't have Pushkin, but maybe I should get some Pushkin. Drew, you must read more Kipling and Lord Byron. Very important. I should get that, actually. I should get that. Drew, let me come over and read your library. Perhaps sometime if you come to Brisbane, what's news? Perhaps. Shots fired at Hannah Ferguson. Listen, I got to explain what I mean by that. It just annoyed me a lot. I don't even know. Maybe I'm becoming a full chud because look at this. This made me like, I went full chud when I saw this. Hang on. She's just like some random person that the Australian media has decided is like the voice of the youth. There's so many people like this. Like they have really acceptable mainstream center-left politics. And then like someone said, I live in Brisbane, I'm out front. Okay, dude. But this is what happens in Australian media and Australian politics. They'll find some young person who has really standard mainstream sort of center-left politics. Like you could literally have a ChatGPT organized that, like ChatGPT could come up with this shit, right? And they put them up and they're like, a star has been born. It's like, can we have someone interesting? I want to talk to John MacGowan about like fucking esoteric Mark Lathanism and like radio signals from underneath Antarctica and fucking Hyperborea. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about boring shit, okay? So, you know, a star has been born. It's just boring.
In his first term, Prime Minister Albanese ruled out an inquiry into News Corp or media diversity more broadly.
He's complaining about News Corp. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Because there's one conservative media company in Australia. Oh, no. Can't have a fucking conservative media company. So, guys, this is the video that literally made me full chud. Like, listen, I hate chuds. I'm against chuds. But this video, if you watch it, it does make you a bit of a chud. Like, leftist Australian Senate candidate Hannah Ferguson is now promoting sex toys from a queer-owned business to close the orgasm gap. He won't make you come this well. And this is what I said. This will. And this is what I said. Imagine a male politician shilling male sex toys while screaming, she won't make you come, fellas. Imagine, right? Imagine Barnaby Joyce gets out there with the full animatronic robot sex doll with the rotating ass massage part. And Barnaby Joyce tries to sell that. You get fucking smashed. Our country's
I'm not getting senator now.
This is probably my most chud opinion. I watched this and I said, Australia's dying.
Oh. Same age.
So guys, keep in mind that this is supposed to be like the voice of Australian youth. All Australian youth are represented in Hannah Ferguson's like, you know, persona. Okay. And then just this is what she's using her platform.
Age, same income, same super contribution. The difference, he won't make you come, but this definitely will. I'm not getting senator now.
Oh, the country's dying. If that's what Australian left-wing Senate candidates are doing, the country's dying, okay? You buy a vibrator from China on like fucking Temu and then you drop ship it. And that's supposed to be the height of fucking feminism. Drop shipping Temu vibrators. What the fuck's going on? What's happening to Australia? Drop shipping vibrators from fucking China. And that's supposed to be like the fucking height of like the future generation of Australian politics. What's happening to our country? Someone says, I can see gay male politicians getting away with selling sex toys. Can we just have no one selling sex toys? Like if you're an Australian politician, don't fucking shill sex toys. I want holy fuck, right? Like Charles de Gaulle, a statesman, a philosopher, a statesman, a fucking thinker, a philosopher, statesman who brought his country into the future. Was he selling like a fucking animatronic sex doll and like telling the people of France, buy my fucking sex doll. You can come very fast. We want fucking real statesmen. De Gaulle, Charles de Gaulle. A Certain Idea of France. Read the book. Read the book, 600 pages. Read the book. A man who had a philosophy within his soul. And Charles de Gaulle would not go out there and sell a fucking animatronic sex doll. This is just a fact. And I know someone might be saying, well, they didn't have fucking animatronic sex dolls when de Gaulle was in power. If de Gaulle could be transported to the world today, he would not be shilling vibrators bought on fucking Temu from China and then drop shipping them. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen because de Gaulle believed in something. He believed in a country. He believed in France. He believed in a nation, an eternal nation that would not be fucking destroyed by the Nazis or the communists. I'm angry. I'm fucking pissed. We have one guy who can turn the situation around. One guy. I'm a statesman. I'm a philosopher. Look at my books behind me. I read, I think, I believe beautiful things within my heart. I've written poetry. You think Charles de Gaulle of France was selling vibrators from China on Temu? No! I believe in France. France indivisible. France eternal. Charles de Gaulle. The Nazis destroyed his country. He kept fighting. He went into exile and fought. He stayed years. He fought for years without any help. Nobody helped him. The Allies betrayed him. Oh, I came so close to throwing that glass just then. Came so close. De Gaulle believed in something. De Gaulle believed in France. A statesman, philosopher. A man with a noble soul. That's what Australia needs. That's what Australia needs. Australia needs a statesman, poet, philosopher who can deliver Australia's principles to the world. That's what Australia needs. That's what Australia needs. They need a statesman, poet, philosopher who will deliver the Australian principles to the world. Not this Hannah Ferguson buying vibrators from China and then drop shipping them buying them off Temu and then drop shipping them. Please, at least make them Australian vibrators, please. I can't take this. Fuck! What happened to our country? What happened to our country? It's fucked up. I can't take it. Where are the men with power in their fucking souls? Where are the men who have poetry and philosophy and literature within their soul, and they are willing to bring Australia's story and its lessons to the world? Australia's dying. Australia's dying. Australia's dying. It's dying. It's dying unless we fight for our country. People are saying it's you, Drew. You're the chosen one. It's not me. It's not me. I'm just preparing the way. I'm preparing the way for a future statesman. I'm preparing the way for a future statesman, poet, philosopher. That's what we need. Save our country. Oh, God.
Same age, same income, same super contribution. The difference? He won't make you come, but this definitely will.
It's not acceptable. Australia should be the capital. Brisbane should be the capital of an interstellar commonwealth. Brisbane should exist as the world capital of poetry and philosophy and culture. Brisbane should be capital. Brisbane should be the capital. Brisbane should be the capital of an international poets' republic, a republic of letters, a republic of high literature that produces the greatest writers and thinkers that humanity has ever seen. That's what Australia should be. That's what Brisbane should be. We should be aiming for a lot higher than selling vibrators bought from China off Temu and drop shipping them. We should be aiming for a lot higher, people. Quantum computers, interstellar travel. I want Australia. I want the Nobel Prize for Literature to be won by Australia 10 years in a row. I want an Australia of poets. It's not even an Australian vibrator. They bought it from China. They bought it from China. It's not even Australian. This is what we've come to as a country. Charles de Gaulle, save us, please, in Australia. We're dying. The voice of the youth, they're selling Chinese vibrators and they're saying this is feminism. They're saying that's the height of all politics. That's not the height of all politics. We should have poets. We should have thinkers. We should have scientists. Someone said smash the glass. I already did. Fuck. I already smashed the glass. Fuck. I smashed the glass. Now I have to clean up the glass. It's fucked up. Max said, is she actually an elected senator? No, but she's a candidate at the next election. What happened to us? We used to be a people, a real people. We used to be a nation. We used to be a nation that built things. Snowy hydro. Grand national projects. What happened to us? We can't even make vibrators in Australia. We can't even make Australian vibrators. We can't even make Australian vibrators. You have to buy them off Temu and drop ship them. It's over. It wasn't the Jews that did this. We did this to ourselves. We did this to ourselves, guys. Nobody in Australia believes in Australia anymore. If I go to the University of Queensland, all the communist kids are white Australian kids. Australian quantum vibrators delivered throughout the solar system. That's what we should be aiming for. Where's the ambition? Where's the cosmic scale? I want rocket bases in every state, launching rockets into the sky every single day. Hundreds, thousands of rockets every year. I want them to be made in Australia and delivered into orbit. It's hard to accept. It's hard to accept national decline, guys. It's hard to accept decline. What they've done to our country, what they've done to the West. It's hard to accept decline. It's hard to accept decline. I actually have tears for what's happened to my country and for Australia and for the West. People don't even believe in civilization anymore. We don't even believe in a civilization. We've declined so much. The West could build things. The West built the Hoover Dam, the Empire State Building. We did grand things. We built cathedrals. People don't see this side to me, the passion that I have for Australia and Western civilization. People don't understand how much I care about this stuff. They think I'm just doing this for likes. And no, I believe in something. I want a civilization. History, culture, literature, philosophy, poetry. What do we even produce anymore? Read the poetry that Australia produces. It's all communist shit. It's all gay communism. It's all gay communism. All the top writers in Australia today are gay communists. They're all gay race communists. Nobody believes in Australia. We need a Benjamin Patterson. We need a Henry Lawson. We need more Gerald Monads. We need more people. Everything now is gay communism. Everything's gay communism. And I love my gay friends. I want to say I love my gay friends, but does everything have to be drag queen story time and gay communism? It doesn't have to be that way. The pain of decline. What do we have left? What do we have left? Somebody said it's over, gentlemen, prepare your ass. I don't want that. I don't want that. I love my gay friends, but I don't want to be fucked in the ass. I never do. It's just not something I'm interested in. There's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. Can't be all that. It can't be all that. Fuck. I support the LGBT community, but I don't want to be fucked in the ass ever. Please. No, I'm Australian. I'm Australian. I would be a foreigner in Cyprus. My heart is Australian. I'm not even fucking joking. I'm actually about to cry. I actually want to cry when I see the burqa in Britain. I've got no problems with the hijab, but the burqa in Britain, that's Taliban, goat herder, fundamentalist bullshit. I don't want that in Britain. I love Britain. Actually, it makes me want to cry. I'm going to go blow my nose. Con says, don't knock it until you've tried it. I'm sorry, mate. I'm just not interested in having a cock in my ass. I don't want that. Fuck. How the fuck are 3,300 people still watching? That again, that's so unfair for me because that's cumulative, not that's a total number. It's not people watching live. Drew might be a top. Okay. I don't want to be gay, but if I had to be gay, I'd be a top because I don't want anything near my ass. At least if you're a top, it's still kind of like masculine a bit because you're not getting fucked. It's all connected. Someone said too much for me. I'm out. At least I'm funny. We're going to tell some jokes. Otherwise, we're going to kill ourselves. We're going to kill ourselves if we don't have humor, okay? If we don't have humor, we're all going to fucking neck ourselves. Look how shit the world is right now. Look how bad Australia's becoming. Well, at least we've got to fucking make jokes, okay? At least let us have some humor in our lives because otherwise we're going to fucking die. I'm going to send Chris the link. Chris, do you want to come on? It's okay. Everybody's joking about being gay. We've got to have a little bit of humor. Otherwise we're all going to have to kill ourselves. It's so depressing right now. Seriously. Fuck, there's glass everywhere now in my fucking house. Chris, I'm sending you the link. When am I debating Thomas Sewell? Maybe next week. I just got to finish my essays first. I haven't finished it yet. Okay, I've sent Chris the link. Another stream, another glass breaking. 63 episodes. I've broken 3 glasses. Clean up the glass while Chris talks to you calmly. Okay, I will do that. I'll do that. Please like the stream, guys. Help the show grow. I keep getting kick spam. It's so annoying. Oppa. Yasu. I've sent Chris the link. Hopefully Chris can join. Chris can help us. That's a fucked up comment, Con. Okay, I'm gonna go clean up the glass. Okay, I'm cleaning the glass. Fuck. I sent Chris the link. Hang on. I'll message him. Okay, I've sent Chris the link. glass? Literally gonna start getting plastic cups, seriously. Look at how much fucking glass there is. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Guys, if you're watching the stream, leave us a like because I gotta clean all this shit. Really gotta stop breaking glasses on stream. It's not funny because it's such a mess to clean up. Got 31 people watching live. Thank you guys. Please leave a like on the stream. Help me with my morale. There's glass everywhere. It's fucked up.
Look, I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Okay, what's that mean?
Means I'm bad at parties. When in fact, everybody's nobody. I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight. Brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
So, what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning?
I tell myself I bear witness. The real answer is that it's obviously my programming. And I lack the constitution for suicide. I get a bad taste in my mouth out here. Aluminum. Ash. See, we all got what I call a life trap. It's gene deep certainty that things will be different. That you'll move to another city and meet the people that'll be the friends for the rest of your life. That you'll fall in love and be fulfilled. Fucking fulfillment. And closure. Where the fuck those two fucking empty jars to hold this shitstorm. Like nothing's ever fulfilled. Until the very end. And closure. No. Nothing is ever over. The ontological fallacy of expecting a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, that's what the preacher sells. Same as a shrink. See, the preacher, he encourages your capacity for illusion. Then he tells you to fucking virtue. There's always a buck to be had doing that. There's such a desperate sense of entitlement, isn't it? Surely this is all for me. Me. I'm so fucking important. I'm so fucking important, right?
I cleaned up the glass.
Fuck.
Okay.
People.
Glass clean. One second.
I've seen
This
the
has been. I
finale
cleaned
of
up all
thousands
the
of
glass.
lives, man. Young, old. Each one is so sure of their realness. You know that their sensory experience constituted a unique individual with purpose, meaning. So certain that they were more than a biological puppet. Truth wheels out, and everybody sees. Once the strings are cut off, all down. Each still body so certain that they were more than the sum of their urges. All the useless spinning, tired mind, collisions of desire and ignorance. Yes. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean when I'm talking about time and death and futility. That there are broader ideas at work, mainly what is owed between us as a society for our mutual illusions. Our 14 straight hours of staring at DBs. These are the things you think of.
Cleaned up all the glass.
You ever done that?
I cleaned up all the glass, guys. I cleaned up all the glass. Beautiful. How you guys going? Hello, Chris. How you going?
Oh, beautiful. Hello.
What were you saying to the chat?
I've been talking to the chat while you've been just trashing out.
I had to clean all the stupid fucking glass.
I saw it. Don't worry, I saw it. Drew's fucking massive crash out.
I just got really depressed.
First time dooming the West. Wow.
I was just dooming.
You're like 5 years behind, dude. You're 5 years behind. I had this. You remember? I already doomed out about this years ago, dude. I don't know why. How you're just getting here. You got a couple more years of this yet. Don't worry.
I just started getting really doomer about the West because I was watching. Yeah,
I know. I saw the vibrator. The one of the many cavalcade of. I probably can't say some of those words on YouTube.
Why aren't you the new Benjo Patterson, Drew? That's so true. That's what we need. That's what the people need.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't use the words I used to describe the human biomass of Australian politics. Human biomass who are there, and there are many of them that sell vibrators. Of these unfortunate people who are pushed for various reasons, whether they're the daughter of a Channel 9 producer or they're this bitch.
Many such cases, just daughters of Channel 9 producers, and they're just given a free hand in life, and it's just horrible.
Well, it's not a free. It is merely the reign of quantity. It is merely the reign of quantity. I don't know what to say. I absolutely concur with your point that we should have a poets' republic, a D'Annunzio style, republic of poets and artisans and of great heroes.
Yes,
but unfortunately,
not necessarily D'Annunzio, because I know I'm not. I disavow the fascism of D'Annunzio, but just the poetry. I don't know. Poetry.
I don't know. I think. I don't know, Drew. I see very much as a D'Annunzio.
He wasn't a full fascist, D'Annunzio.
No. It was before that. Anyway, yeah, you're very D'Annunzio pilled. Cooming everywhere.
Yeah, he fought with.
He fought with Italy. Italy.
No,
what
are you talking about? That's not true at all.
What? No, Drew. You're very actually no. D'Annunzio did drugs too much, so he's just a little cooler than you. But But you know, like
I don't like
that. I know you don't. We know. But Mussolini was scared of him. They just gave him like a fuck off castle from memory.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. That's true.
Like
I
he's
wish
just
we
constantly.
could get,
Mussolini's just constantly spurging out like, oh fuck, he could march on me at any time. Like they like him more. Here, have a castle and like a barony and fuck off. Have a sick yacht and just sail around on it. Like but you can't have that,
Chris.
Drew. You can't get that. That's not. I mean, maybe you do get that, but not yet. This is you have you actually read Man and Technics or Decline of the West?
We're doing the first gaming stream, sir. We're doing the first gaming stream.
Oh Christ! Is this what we're doing now? Is you gaming now? Am I cutting out?
Is it working?
Can you guys see it? Yeah, I can see it. We can see it.
It might be my computer.
Oh no, I think you're just. It's a little bit slow. Yeah, I can see it live. It's a bit laggy.
Lags
but that
a
maybe. Have
How
you
do I fix
actually
that?
set up the things I told you? It's also editing the
I
internet
set them all up.
I don't know. This is.
I saw Peter in the chat. Metaxas said no to the fascists. Metaxas said no to the fascists.
Yeah, I don't know, Drew. It's.
Metaxas said no to the fascists.
I think you haven't set up the settings properly. I'm gonna guess, almost certainly. It's bitrate. Okay, I think it's just an internet.
Why?
I
What's wrong with my settings?
It'll be a driver setting or it'll be a network setting. I can already tell. Because I guarantee if you.
What do you think we should need to do?
I think you should stop playing this because it's absolutely like killing. Because when you're streaming, like when you come back off the stream, your video and bitrate's fine, and then when you're in it, it's like chopping it up. So I think you just haven't set the video codecs up, or it's a bitrate thing.
Okay, I'll turn it off.
It won't be Roy.
Right,
Unfortunately, it won't be hard to find just doing the chat. It's not a particularly taxing game for Drew's system. He can't work technology. It's not his fault. He's Greek. You know,
work it out.
If it's not olive oil and femboys, they get a bit scared.
No, that's fucked up.
Yeah, are you playing modded or are you playing just flat?
I was playing normal, but look, we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Anyway, no, Drew, you know you can't have poetry and virtue and cool shit. Instead, you get schlop. You get autumn and winter, probably late autumn, early winter in terms of a Spenglerian cycle.
Very sad, dude. The
sorry.
They say the
someone's saying the cat. Drew's been doing too much esoteric Hitlerism. Some would say.
No. I remember you said that. I remember you said Kali Yuga to me like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I definitely did. I definitely did.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it depends whether you think it's a long Yuga or a short Yuga.
10 million years.
Yeah, is it like like a couple 100 years, or is it like a billion years? Who knows? It could be either.
Could be either.
Drew is not going to lose the plot permanently. He's still got much bigger crash outs than this coming. I can already
really.
Oh come on, dude! If this is only one of your like early like the West has fallen crash outs, trust me.
The West has fallen. I saw a girl selling a vibrator and I said the West has fallen. I went full charge.
You did exactly what you did. You said I saw a roasty selling a fucking vibrator.
No, I didn't say that. I don't like that language. I think that's a disgusting word. Roasty. I don't.
Yeah,
like
I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to say it. You can disavow that. You can disavow.
I disavow that. I don't like that.
That was as far as
too vulgar.
No. Yeah, but sometime like she has no redeeming features. She has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and just get out. Like anyway.
No. Maybe she's just confused. Maybe she can be brought back from the disaster.
I don't think so. I think it's. I mean, as you would inspect from the people who turn up to Palestine rallies, I think it's a biological thing. I think the Bio-Leninism is true. These people are not so good. A permanent underclass of agitators who have issues, which can never be resolved, agitating permanently for total world of shit. Sorry, Drew. But that's the fundamentals. But good news. It won't last forever. It may just last a couple of hundred years.
I would like to have a world where people can be heroes.
Check back in 100 years.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, look, maybe you get so much technological advance you can get there, and I think that's the beauty of Dune, right? Like we're going to do some weaving here. I think that's the beauty of Dune, is that the technology comes so far that it enables heroic personal action rather than impersonal dronings. And basically the firearms killed heroism. But maybe we can bring it back. Maybe technology can come so far as to bring it back.
You think so?
I think it's not impossible. I think.
How would that work?
Well, I think actually, if you make warfare so destructive as to be, basically everybody has nukes, then everything may become so limited as to so much be like small contests between states. Is not symbolic, but when the initiation pressure is so low for a very destructive conflict, I could foresee military action being very constrained and confined to with this historical precedence of this to small bands of soldiers fighting each other. Because if the next step in that is just horrendous drone warfare, and the step up from that is nukes fly,
Oh my god, drone warfare's fucked.
Yes,
I saw it firsthand in Ukraine. It's fucked up.
Is Drew a good actor? Is Drew crashing out like this? No, Drew does do Drew is a bit more genuine than I think than being an actor. But who knows how many glasses really need to die for his crash outs? No, unfortunately, Drew is unfortunately too sensitive for this world.
Maybe I'm too melodramatic. I was actually really upset.
Yeah. No, I mean, look,
but it wasn't just because she was selling a vibrator. This is the
Mediterranean hot blood. This is the Mediterranean hot blood. If you've been born a Northern Euro, this wouldn't happen so much. You would just doom for like a solid month about it, and then I don't know. You'd go outside.
The good thing is that with European hot blood, you get really angry, and then you can get out of it very fast.
The Anglo is icy, willing to wait.
I feel happy
till every can't be proved. Actually, no, yeah, you need to go buy some more Kipling and some more Byron. I think this is very powerful, especially Byron for you. You can connect with the beautiful the Greek in there. Maybe Kipling's too Anglo for you.
No, Kipling could be good. I'd like to do Kipling.
I personally think you should, but maybe I think I have a spare copy. Somewhere.
You know what's so sad? Boris quoting Boris could quote Kipling off the top of his head, but he's just like a fucking idiot and didn't do anything good in power.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not that hard. I just did about icy willing to wait. So yeah, you can. It's not hard. It's not hard to quote Kipling.
Peter says, just like my Cypriot girlfriend, Drew isn't European, he's Middle Eastern. So true, dude. So true.
I mean, perhaps, we still need to do the DNA test.
Take up the Cypriot's burden. So true.
Yeah.
Take up the Cypriot burden. So true.
I mean, what is that? To retake Constantinople or to like become a taxi driver? To become a taxi. I mean, Drew's really living out the stereotype. Drew just needs a taxi, and he can be telling people his cooked geopolitical takes in only 20 years.
That'd be beautiful.
Drew drives Uber and just tells people like, oh, yep.
I used to be involved in politics.
Yes, back in home country. The Chinese tried to kidnap me.
And no one would believe in that. That's so sad, dude. That's so sad. No one would even believe me.
I was fined 30,000 lira for putting a sign on the
30,000 lira.
I never pay. I know it's the wrong currency. I don't care.
We had such glorious years, and now we're in a long winter. But the Drew Pavlis show is rising again. Will take us back to glory.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Who would have thought Drew would be debating Alex Jones. Like even 2 weeks ago, if you told me that, I'd be fucking like, no way. So I think it's still growing. I think it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I think there's still many avenues for Drew.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. 25 still young. 25 still young.
25 still young. Don't worry, mum and dad. I haven't wasted my life. Drew, get a job. Drew, stop smashing glasses for online people and get a job.
25 still young. 25 still young. It is a job.
Honestly,
it's a job.
You can get a job, and as you realize from those of us who have it, Drew, it's soul crushing, and it's
that's why I don't want to get one.
I mean, no, I think it's good because it's unfortunately all true, Drew, is what I'm going to tell you. It's all true. It sucks. I mean, it's necessary and it's kind of comfy, but it is unfortunately the same vibrator, like the same vibrator merchant mentality persists in almost any workplace. Like it's vibrator merch. Unfortunately, it's vibrator merchants all the way down.
That's fucked.
Until at the very bottom, almost at the very bottom, is a sensitive young man who
we're getting persecuted.
Who just wants to die on a European field, or perhaps conquer small countries. Sandline style. Unfortunately, you don't get to do that though. What you do is you get to shuffle PowerPoints around, and maybe write a Word document.
This is what Con said. Honestly, what's holding you back is your obsession over tankies. Your show pops off when you have interesting guests like tonight, but also Alex the dude who went to prison. Yeah, no, I'll keep having interesting guests on. Just like I have my political vendettas against the tankies that I must prosecute. These are real vendettas that I must prosecute.
I mean, the question is, at all tankies, would you have Thrapple back on? Would you have Thrapple on? I think
actually, I would.
That would be an incredible debate. I think that'd be an incredible debate, right?
Actually, that would be good. I would like to do that. Actually, we should do that.
I think
you should reach out to him.
I'll get in contact through the Irano Russo Telegram, thoughts.
Yes, and then we'll have him on and we'll debate. That's the only tanky who doesn't try to kill me.
Yeah, as long as you don't say we should drone him like midstream.
No, I won't say that. I know Jay personally, so I won't say that. I only say that for like Phidias.
Oh, we know you love Phidias. Maybe you should debate Phidias.
I'd love to. That'd be great.
Two hot, sweaty Greek Cypriots rolling around in the mud, in the oil. Even. They love it.
I don't think we can do that. I don't think you'd accept a debate. I don't think you'd accept a debate.
Maybe. I think there are many people you should have on. I don't know if you could get him. But there's that dude, the Irish guy who's doing that post-liberalism book. I think if not, you should definitely.
Patrick Deneen.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah.
I've actually got his book. You should. I would actually have him on. That'd be interesting.
I think you should. Yeah, I think you should maybe suck him off in the.
Actually, that's a great idea. Actually, I'm gonna make a note of that. Like, dude, Patrick Deneen on the show. That actually would be really interesting.
Yeah, Max, actually, this is the one time I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, no, trust me. I know. It's true.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Max. I really don't want to get a 60-hour a week professional job. I really want to.
I mean, none of them are 60 hours a week. There may be 15 hours a week of daycare for.
We're gonna be the based orthodox streamer. Okay, have your vendettas, all power to you, but my advice is not to let it be the constant theme on your podcast. No one likes sour grape together. Yeah, true.
No, don't worry. Drew has a lot of hate in his heart for many people.
It's not just the tankies.
Yeah, Drew can cultivate hate versus so many people. It's like chi. If you can cultivate hate and it lets you go stronger. Don't listen to all the wiener people. The wiener new ages who are like, oh, you got to cultivate love. Cringe. You got to cultivate hate.
Love. No, we love love.
Yeah, love. No, they are two sides of the same coin. The opposite of hate is not.
I remember you said that to me once.
Love is not hate. It is apathy. It is total apathy. Yes,
and apathy is the death of the universe. We never want apathy.
Yeah, no apathy.
No apathy.
Apathy is bad. Apathy, and in some ways irony are some of the greatest sins of our modern age.
You know what? Let's end it here on that note about apathy. We're gonna destroy apathy. We're gonna build up a beautiful, beautiful show. The Droop have the show. The fortress of righteousness, it's building. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. God bless you all. God bless the stream. And thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. The Drew Pavler Show, episode 64.
God bless
tomorrow.
the Mark Latham esotericists.
Yes, absolutely. I'll try to get Mark Latham on. It'll be so fun. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, sir. All right. See you, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.